What's up, everybody? We are back from training, ready to go, ready to figure out what's going on today with the markets up ahead of us here. So, just kind of quickly breaking down what I see right here, right now, is that we kind of ran right into the overnight high, which was created 150 this morning. We'll call it around 2 a.m. We had breakdown from previous day highs yesterday, which is basically the open, and we just rolled from the open 2 days ago. Wasn't here, same deal, kind of wicked up highs and then rotated down. I'm gonna get rid of that. Rotated down, kind of just chopped around after we made that low of day. Kind of kept bouncing off that, flushed that on the overnight, continued to sell off. A lot of that was driven by flows out of the chip sector, which is interesting. NVIDIA and some of the other names kind of rolled over some. Right now we're looking at NVIDIA trying to push back up through highs over here. You can see NVIDIA trying to go pre-market and breaking through that 122.29 level, which pretty much would try and get back into this area from pre-market yesterday, which could clean that up with that gap down. So not saying that it will clean it up, but you can see big gap up or big run up, big run down, kind of cleaned it up a little bit, accepted some orders below. If you look at this at a longer term chart type platform, pattern, I should say, you're going to be seeing that this kind of made, if it does break through 122.30, then the rotation back higher could come into play. But if we come up in here and it doesn't do that and it fails, then the downside pressure probably takes over again. We did sell off from the open, that overnight high, not from the open, from the overnight high right off the jump. So there is selling there. I drew up this trend line. It's pretty crude for now. Just kind of keep it in my mind that if this does give up, I think we can at least rotate down to VWAP with a little bit of cleanness, especially since the top end of this support resistance area is right here, and that's kind of where everything kind of ran in together. And then the bottom of this is basically VWAP, just the low end of that consolidation. So it should kind of get through here, get to VWAP, then maybe it's going to make a decision on it, whether it's going to go long or short. If we can get up over this overnight high, we're going to play our normal strategy. Hopefully we could dance around a little bit, pop up above, get up into that 180, maybe come back down through that overnight high, through this, just kind of break quickly. So that's what my plan is for this open. I know Top Step X has had some issues the last few days from what I can see. I know also they should have made it right if you had affected accounts during those time periods. They do wipe those clean. So if they didn't reach out to support, my only thing here is S&P's is on its VWAP, right? Sitting on VWAP here, kind of danced around a bit, right at its trend line as well. If that gives up, maybe it rotates down. Look for longs from the bounce of 56.38. Same thing, longs from 2018, really the failure of that level. So we're sitting on overnight highs. We're looking to open at overnight highs. We're 1 minute out from it. See if that'll give us any sort of play. Looking to see if there's anything overhead that will interest us. 152, not high enough. There's a sitting order at 152. Not huge, 50 lot. Nothing crazy. Delta is pushing upside while price is pushing down. You can see the kind of inverse here. You got nice push down, price pushed up, Delta continue to push up. So aggressive buyers tried to step in here and price failed it. Buyers still trying to step in as you're trying to make new lows. So I would anticipate that on the open, you kind of get a little bit of a move down, then pop up. And then we'll see where it goes from there. So hopefully everybody had a good last 2 days. Good morning, Jofi. I am glad to be back. We're going to just be patient, let it kind of play out here, see if we can get back up over that overnight high, and then see what happens. If it just kind of crushes through this trend line and flushes through the downside, then I don't have any play. I want to see this thing pop a bit. We are now open. I know that they were having issues. Top Step X, Trade Evade, the last 2 days during open. So this is kind of what I wanted to see. I want to see a little push down first, then pop up. But if this just cracks and goes, I don't have anything, right? That's not part of my setup. I can't limit my risk here as much as I would like to. If this opening range just continues to flush down, then we are not going to be able to get into it. But if it does mess around, come into here, come back up, pop above the overnight high, then start to rotate back down, that's when I get my entry, right? That's when I'm looking for my shorts. Congrats on passing those 2 top step accounts during London there, Jofi. So it should be a nice, easy day for you, unless you're going to be trading your fundeds, which is always good as well. This opening range, hopefully it'll stick kind of right where we're at, kind of give that idea a little bit of legs right now, because NVIDIA is pushing through the pre-market high, and it's trying to crack through 122.30. And if you were on before, I know there weren't a ton of people on right now, right before when I went live, we were trying to get NVIDIA to break through this 122.35 level. If it does crack this, it should have no issue kind of running back up to 125 based on the liquidity that's been there. The run up, the run back. You might get some stair stepping up, but if it fails to go pretty quickly today, then you might get that rotation back through that 122.30, which could lead to selling in the NQ and the ES. If it fails it right now and rejects, then you're going to definitely get that. And it looks like that's kind of what's happening right here. Our opening range is breaking to the downside a little bit. But that also could lead to the idea that if it grabs some liquidity down below the opening range and pushes through the overnight high, we might not get the failure that we want to see. Smart man, Jofi, smart man. I know Top Step, like I said, had some, not Top Step in general, but Top Step X in the morning around this time between 9 o'clock or some odd hours. They had issues. I saw the alerts that they had. And then Trade of 8 was down for everybody who had Trade of 8. So just be mindful that as much as you want to blame the platform, as much as you want to blame the companies and whatnot, you, at the end of the day, it's going to be your responsibility to be responsible with your accounts, right? If you start to notice weird things happening, if you start to notice that things aren't kind of filling, yes, I mean, realistically, if it gets to a point where everything completely fails and your account disappears or something like that, you have every right to complain and get your stuff back, but do it in a responsible way. But you got to take responsibility. Especially with internet trading, this was a beautiful move to that VWAP. That was a perfect trade idea right there. If we could have gotten that, if anybody is a trend line break trader, that's right there. That's pretty nice. I do still like the idea of getting above the overnight high first, but that's just me. Like I said, if this just cracks here, I don't have this as my entry criteria. I'm still trying to just stay disciplined and stick to my plans, stick to my setups, and that's how I maximize my gains. That's when I do my best. So, but going back to the just taking responsibility. I know I have the Top Step Discord just so I could see when there's outages. I could see some of what their commentary is on what they're going to be releasing, if they send out code, so I can send it to everybody and all that stuff. But take responsibility for your own trading. If you start to see that shit, just turn off your computer or walk away for a little bit, and then if you decide to see it and still trade, you're doing something. You're just forcing it, right? There's no need to trade. Yes, if your setup's there, your A+ setup's there, great. But if you notice that there's something funky about your platform, it's on you to recognize it, because nobody else really cares. I'm going to tell you that right now. They're just going to say it was your fault. Relatively weak here. S&P's is below its VWAP, right? I would like to see if this is going to continue on, that 56.38 level hold, or I guess it would be a little bit higher, right? 56.39, 38 quarters. I would like to see that level hold, even up higher, if 56.42 kind of holds, then you may get that bounce. So let's say that NQ continues down all the way to overnight lows, starts to sweep the lows, get down into that area where it's going to trap some shorts. We do have this gap up sort of that kind of happened during the open. Was mostly cleaned up, but not quite. So we still have that small little gap that could get filled there. You kind of clean all that up. S&P's gets down into here, starts to respect that 42 level, starts to rotate off of that. That'll give you an indication that this long may come into play from there. But there's no need to force it right away. If I see Jofi's short idea. It's a great idea. Honestly, like I said, if you're into that trend line crack immediately, right off the jump, no confirmation, just go for it. It's a good setup. It's right there. It's in your face. You take it. For me, like I said, especially coming off of a 2-day break here where I had trading, I'm going to try and stick to my plans, stick to my A+ strategy. I mean, you should always try to do that. You should always try to stick to your A+ strategy. Try your best to, just don't get that FOMO and trade stuff that you normally don't trade that you can't put into your system, right? So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to just kind of have something that's in my system that's tradable. Yeah, so I'm not looking for longs until we get down closer to that overnight low. I mean, the zone, I would like it to be down into the overnight low just because I would like to see if that gap gets attacked again, right? It's not really, it's filled. If that's the overnight low, it's not quite filled, right? You still have that little bit where it jumped here, and that seems to have some interest for buyers, right? Just tells me that there want to be buyers here from 24 down to 20, even down into the 10s. These overhead VWAPs here, the blue and red, are from PPI and CPI last week. They probably won't come into play. They may have came into play early this week, like Tuesday and Wednesday. I was not on, so they definitely didn't affect me. Another thing about sticking to your plan and not trading or not taking trades that aren't your A+ setups. What I did this week, I'm even though I didn't trade Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm a lot happier with my ability to just go to training, just not be on the charts. I checked TradingView here and there, but I never had that temptation to hop on, have to make a trade, have to make money on my phone. So just if I had to grade my week so far, it's a great week. Monday we stuck to our plan. We made a really nice trade, one trade and done, lock ourselves out. Tuesday, Wednesday, no trades, but still stuck to the plan of just not executing on your phone, not FOMOing in, not doing anything like that. So I'm going to count those days as sticking to the plan, days. I'll count those as green days because I didn't do anything that deviated that would create unnecessary pressure onto my account. Yeah, I could have got lucky, made some okay trades, and got my, maybe made some money, but realistically, the likelihood for me to mess up, not be able to have all my charts, all my confluences, it kind of really is higher, and it's more likely to happen that way. So for me, I'm just hoping that I just continue to stick to that plan. That's really something that I'm hoping to do more and more and more as I move forward. Just stick to the plan, stick to the plan, stick to the plan. I got in today and I saw the message from Scrooge McBucks, and he had an interesting thing to say. He's basically said that, I know if you can look back on the chat, you could read it. It's on you to read it too. But basically he said he was looking forward to Thursday. He needs my help because the more he tries to do it, the more he feels like he's screwing up. And I feel like that's a really good thing to kind of admit and be self-accountable to. I don't know if he's in here yet or not. I don't really check the users or anything like that. But for the most part, right? Especially early on in your trading journey or early on in your futures, like if you've switched from something to futures, you just got to kind of really understand yourself. And the more you try to do different things, every day you're doing something different. It's all about getting rid of all those different things that you're doing, peeling it all back, seeing what's necessary, and then just slowly over time building your own trading plan, building your own rules that are going to make you stick to your actual rules, actual setups. And, especially when it comes to futures, it's so easy, it's so accessible. And especially with these prop firms, you feel like you can just trade, and it's going to benefit you, right? The biggest things biggest advice I could give just is that mentality aspect of stick to your exact setup, let things play out to where you want them to get to first, and then start to execute your plan. Because all this right now in the middle for me is not anything. It's just price moving around. It's at VWAP. I'm away from both ends of my spectrum where I wanted to enter. If I was a pre-market trader, I would have looked to enter up here short obviously, right off that overnight high. You got this nice consolidation. You got a sort of tricky candle here that kind of said, oh, it's going to start to break out. Then you got, which I would have never traded that. I would have waited for that kind of candle to kind of show its face, get a little manipulation to try this short down through the low of that consolidation, and then rotate down. But I never really kind of pierced my overnight high. We just touched the overnight high, but we gave ourselves that lower high setup. And then with Delta, sort of different. So I've noticed this pre-market and overnight. When I look at the Delta and I look at that stuff on the overnight session, I noticed that Delta tends to be inversely related to the way price is moving in the pre-market and in overnight sessions. So how I mean that is, when we're approaching key levels, I notice that price likes to kind of fade out of it, but Delta is trying to remain strong. So there are aggressive, shorter term, small buyers attempting to get aggressive through here. Like if we call this here the breakdown, right? You could see Delta flattened out, price flattened out, Delta fell. Price fell aggressively. Delta didn't go as aggressive, but it still did move nicely. And as soon as you started to get some slowdown, you got strong bid on the candles of the Delta, trying to make new highs and ultimately making new highs of this previous breakdown. And you can see price diverged from that. Price never made it to those new highs, never made it to that area. So I noticed that a lot of times Delta tries to get more aggressive at key levels in pre-market and overnight sessions, right? And then price tends to go the opposite direction of wherever that is. So that seems to be the pivot point of what happens. But during the day, what I look for is I look for the opposite. I look for price to make new highs most of the time. Sometimes we get that same kind of divergence, but most of the time I try to get price to do the opposite, right? I try to get price to make new lows and then Delta to not follow through, right? So there's a little nuance that you have to kind of do and understand with that. Hell yeah, Jofi, that's beautiful. Yeah, I like it. I liked that short. I was all about a short today. I needed this price to get up over that overnight high, though. That's just my setup. And if it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit. Now we just watch the overnight lows, see if we get a bounce from there. If they're going to flush that overnight low, or even like the pre-midnight low, which is 2025. So anywhere from 25 into 18, if you start to get that setup, you can see NQ is relatively weak compared to the S&Ps because you get NVIDIA doing this. NVIDIA is doing this straight down sell off there. Beautiful push right down kind of into that gap again. I would anticipate a flush down into that 39s, probably right into 19 evens ish. See if that's where it catches a bid or if it's just going to continue to sell off. That's going to help our cause here, but the NQ kind of piercing through our key level there at 68, which was up here, which was just like a standard structure level, but also nothing that I'm interested in as far as just executions around, just something that I'm noting. If we do continue to flush through the pre-market lows down into 982, not quite yesterday's low, we could get into yesterday's low. I would start to look for a bounce in that area as well. So overnight lows, I'm going to wait for a setup. I'm not going to just limit in at the overnight lows, right? I don't just set limit orders at 20 and hope it bounces. I wait to see if I can get some confluence, some confirmation, something that's going to tell me that it's going to go the opposite direction off of this flush, right? We've been in a downtrend. I'm hard pressed to try and buy this because I am a bearish in mindset. I wanted to short the overnight high. I didn't get the entry, right? This was pre-market. I do not trade pre-market. I wait for that open. I wait for that manipulation up over that overnight high, try to trick some longs into getting long. Right now, S&Ps is well away from its overnight low. So that tells me that this first touch of the overnight low, first break of the overnight low is probably not going to be a rejection. It's not going to give you the bounce that we want. It's going to be not correct timing yet because we are leading to the downside. S&Ps needs to catch up and give me some sort of bounce around, like I said, anywhere from 40, yeah, I'd say from anywhere from 42 down to 38. I would really like S&Ps to get to 38 before it decides to make a bounce, which could lead us down into the overnight lows, maybe 20,000 even. So if we get down through 20,000, then the rotation back up overnight low could give me that bounce idea. That's the thought process behind that trade there. But the timing isn't just set limit to bounce off of overnight lows, because this is very heavy. This is where you're just going to start to get run over, right? Trying to catch the low. I want to catch low of the day. I want to catch the bounce. That's not what we got to do here, right? We're going to find that confirmation, find the reason why it's going to rotate off the other way, and then go from there, right? I would normally have loved to have shorted that overnight high. And unfortunately, like I said, we didn't get the entry criteria for myself personally. So I did not go and just do it, right? So we got to let this thing confirm itself. If this is just going to bounce from here, great. Good for it. But I didn't get to the area that I wanted to yet. And if that's just going to V-bottom right there, then great on that as well. Like, it's just, if we never touch overnight high or overnight low, then I have no reason to get into any trades. That means that we're going to be stuck straight inside day. Yes, there was opportunity here. And if it rotates off this and runs right up to VWAP, opportunity there as well, but not a trade setup for me. I want this to flush this overnight low. I want it to get down to 20,000. If S&Ps can get down to 42 even and beyond, then I'm starting to look for longs down there. If this is just going to catch the bid from right here on S&Ps, there's a lot of consolidation here. I think that there's price that wants to get executed all the way down. But I could show you right here, this big run up, right, from that, what time is that? Basically on the open, right? So that's the real pre-market low, gap low, right? Reopen pop. If we can clean that up and then rotate off of that, that would be interesting, because there are buyers interested right there. So there is a reason why there's buyers interested there. I'll put a little white line there so we can understand why there's that. The white lines for me are just key levels that I'm interested during the day. I want to get in between these at least before I start to look for ejection at NQ. Yeah, it happens when you try to catch a falling knife, or if you try to, short the highs of an all-time high every time, it just becomes an issue. So for me, like I said, just not worth it I'm not looking to enter here. I'm not looking to enter, even here, right? Like, I need to get my full setup. If you don't get your full A+ setup, it's okay to just not execute a trade, right? Because I'm really trying to limit my drawdown. I'm really trying to limit the possibility that the trade doesn't go my way, because if I do just guess and get in, that's the time that it manipulates and it goes the other way and it just continues to fall, right? So I'm waiting for that full on, change of price. And I can most of the time see when that price change is kind of coming in. A lot of times, with these V bottoms or the straight turns, I don't have that same, eye for it. I don't think anybody really has the eye for the straight V bottom, bounce. That's a really difficult thing to catch. If, some people with the, just setting limit orders out there, they can catch those. I don't really do that. I don't find success in it. I tend to get run over and then price goes my way. So that's why I like to wait for the other end, and I wait for it to come my way. Do I lose a little bit of risk to reward? Yes, but nothing like crazy. Some size to be noting at 53. There's a 50 lot, but I think it just pulled down below. We got some orders, nothing huge. 50 lots below at 25s. So let's watch, wait and see. Russell's trying to push higher, well above opening range high. So small caps are getting the flows. So money's flowing out of Mag 7 into small caps, really kind of what it seems like at the moment, right? This is just basic analysis, nothing real huge in the analysis, but just mentioning it. Can we get this to flush this 18 down to 20,000-ish? Obviously, like I said, this is a key point from here to here. There is buyers in this area, right? Buyer here, buyer here. They flushed it. I would like to see that area flushed, 2036. We just kind of flushed that 2036. So it is an interesting level. It's a good zone to, if you were trading smaller and you wanted to scale in, you could front run that overnight low, starting at the 40s, maybe at the 36 level right here on that wick. But Like once again, I did mention like this is not, if this setup came down here a little bit lower, then I'm interested. Still not interested yet. Still want to see that manipulation. 30 minutes candle still holding above that 68 level. You can see over here at 68, support. That green line there acted as key support, that 25, but we never quite made it there. Did we make it to 25? Just shy of it. So good to note that pre midnight, I guess, overnight low is supportive. Jovi is the king of mental trades, crushes them. Especially, it's good that you're doing it that way and, not hammering into your other accounts while you did really well overnight. There's no need to force it during this hour, right? It's all one trading day, so it's all going to count the same. So, you pass a couple more accounts, you got some top step in you. There's nothing wrong with just kind of forward testing your strategy. That's what forward testing is right there, right? You go in there and you set orders that you're not actually executing. You note them. You draw out your plan. That's not my password. Okay. And it's good to note, right? It's good to note if that gets stopped, if you are in those kind of trades there, it's good to note. That's why you're noting them, right? You're noting them so you can say, okay, this is what happened when I tried it here. Maybe if I waited for the overnight low to get flushed before I decided on this long idea, then it would be more conducive to a success rate, right? So just like if you are noting them, or if you're making a spreadsheet, or you're forward testing, or you're making, it's good to see it now and understand it and execute it, or put those orders out there and have that idea. I mean, for the pretend ones, or whether paper trade them or mental trade them or forward test them, or however you want to understand that they're going to work, that would be really important to kind of just write down those, okay, this is the range bound strategy, forward test, and it worked this time, what key levels were close, what key levels were away, kind of like get a little bit deeper into your data, more than price got to here, I did this because of this. I think you should also be able to kind of give yourself a more rounded picture. That's why I like to record my screen. If you are not interested in streaming at all or anything like that, I still think that go to OBS, download it, or whatever Loom you can download free. There's a bunch of free different screen recording softwares out there. OBS is great because if you do end up going into streaming, it'll give you that. But I think realistically, you gotta record your screen and see the levels, see what price was really doing, over just like putting it in a spreadsheet, putting it in there, and going from there. I want to see the flush of this overnight low. That'll give me that trapped short idea. All right, so we are approaching this this overnight low. Let's see what happens with NVIDIA. Let's see what happens with S&Ps. If S&Ps can get down into that 41, that may give us our timing. I want to push down, maybe sweep 20,000 before I decide to get long through this. If it just ticks here again and rotates up, then we know it is what it is. But I wanted to get through the overnight levels. That's how I'm able to successfully make these ideas work for myself. If that's going to be the bounce, then that's going to be the bounce. But I really like to wait, to be patient, to let the S&Ps at least get to 41s. Let NVIDIA show me that it's going to curl up give me a reason to get long. And Nvidia is kind of curling up a little bit. It just kind of swept that 120, as I mentioned. If you want to, go back in the stream, take a look. You can see that I was talking about this level here, that 119.40-ish, 119.39, sweeping down to 119 even, and then rotating back up. So that's kind of what my thought was for Nvidia. It's happening a little bit quicker than I would like for the NQ, because the NQ never got to the overnight lows, and I wanted it to get through there. I mean, it ticked it, right? I mean, right. If I could have front ran it, that's the long right there, Jofi, for that idea that you had. I mean, maybe it's still wrong. Maybe we're still waiting. Maybe my patience is going to pay off, right? But for the most part, understanding the dynamics of price action and why maybe it wants to do what it's doing currently, as opposed to the timing of that long that you took there, that you mentally took there. Because you got S&Ps now running up into VWAP, still below S&Ps, and Q still below. Delta, I didn't watch it. We did flush the low. We made continuing, this looked like it wanted to continue on right there. So then it just turned around right at that lower band of VWAP. Need to get down through here, see what happens with Delta. Maybe we get a little bit of divergence. Russell's still pushing up higher, like a lot higher. So could still keep the flows out of the big names and in those small caps, which could lead the NQ and the S&Ps downside a little bit further before we decide to turn around. So hopefully that's what we get. I'm low on coffee. I want to try and go grab another cup, but I want to see what happens with price here. If I could get myself an entry from that overnight low into that previous day low area and then rotate us back up. And I would not be surprised if the rotation comes all the way up. Just purely based on like a area of interest that makes it where bids just want to get caught in there. I want to see something like this. If you don't understand kind of what I'm talking about, I want to see this kind of maybe get up into VWAP, pull down into the overnight low, close down here, then pop right back up, and then we can get long through there, at least up into here. I mean, VWAP is obviously our first target. If it does that, it's probably curling down into that area. So there will be a lot of interest here. That could be a good breakout point too. So you can get in at the overnight low, limit it down to here, and then start to mitigate your win as you kind of get to here, and then start to rotate up through. If this breaks, then you retest that crack of that trend line crack, and then if that breaks, overnight highs, I think you do have the opportunity to potentially get up here, chop around, and then run. So that's the thought process behind this. Just, where Nvidia is on its charts, where we could go to kind of manipulate price around a little bit. That's just what I see with the way price acts. Gonna get rid of all those. So that's my thought on it. I like Jofi's just quick looking, grab those runners, but it still seems a little early on the timing for me. But like I said, S&P's cracked just above that VWAP, so could pull us up through the NQ. $68s. This is a key level right here. All right, give me 2 minutes. I'm gonna grab my last little bit of coffee real fast. Did I miss it? Nope, didn't miss it. The Nvidia bid is happening before I wanted it to. So this little sweep here could have been just what I needed right here. This little pop down below that low, right into the overnight low, then rotate off there. That's more, indicative of the timing. I would like this to get one more time down through. That's the goal. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. For my strategy to work, I really need to pierce levels. It's failed breakouts. That's the point of the strategy. It's a failed breakout, failed breakdown of a key level, right? Overnight high, overnight low, previous day high, previous day low, close of, previous day close. Sometimes I will use if it's a very important level. If you're over on YouTube, don't be afraid to click the like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let the little bell notify you when we go live. I try to keep everything updated on Tradecaster and on Instagram, but sometimes it gets away from me. So if you want to notify when I go live, click that button and it'll let you know. If you subscribe, sometimes it'll do it also. I just like, 60% long. I think that's still getting longer. There's some delta that's aggressive in the buying, but price is still trying to creep down. So let's see if that'll diverge a little, see if it'll push us to the lows, get this delta to not make a new low. I don't want delta aggressively making new lows when we make new lows in price. Russell is just moon mission straight up. So that still helps me in my idea of taking the NQ downside, NVIDIA downside. NVIDIA is still pulling back some. If this cracks and just flushes, that's also, a possibility, right? But for me, I need to get through that. I mean, that's just the setup, right? If it comes down, holds, and then rotates back up, then that's likely a failed breakout. Price should not want to return back into the overnight level. It should not want to come back to the high side if it breaks through that overnight low. So if you are a breakout or a breakdown trader, the third time attempting to get through it potentially could be the real time through it. So, that's my battle, right? Between failed breakout and actual breakout, important level. I'm trying to see size overhead or anything, nothing huge. 59 lots up there, 58 lots at 37. Something just popped. I didn't see a big time in sales. Let's see, time in sales. Oh, why is that 1? Okay. Now it seems like it's strong again. 68 is the level that seems to be holding. Right. 68, 69. We're right there right now. Holding below VWAP makes it difficult for me to go long through that 68 because the VWAP is right there. Big size just got filled at 78. So 78 got filled. So that seems like it was something along the lines of 100 contracts that was getting filled at 78. So that could be either a draw to get filled to sell, or it's a draw to get filled to kind of push this up even higher, right? I was waiting for this overnight low to come into play. I wasn't ready to front run it. That wasn't my setup. That's not what I was looking to do. Potentially, up over 40. If you look at this objectively, this once you get to 40 here, 50, 60, 70, you have 30 points without much issue with your target being VWAP. Yeah, it just needs that 70. You can see that it just kind of wicked it, rotate back down. Definitely choppy. I'm glad I'm just kind of sitting on my hands. Yes, there's opportunity here to make money, opportunity here to make money. However, I'm here to just show you that discipline plays. It just, you want to be able to not just hammer in just because, right? I like these levels. They're great and all. S&P's never made it down enough for me to be like, oh, convinced that they weren't looking to go further downside. Overnight highs still could come into play. We have yet to clean up either the overnight high or the overnight low. Nothing has gotten cleaned up. We are still technically in the overnight range, right? Just completely in that levels. We have held above this consolidation, bounce, 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 sell, sell, sell. What happens when we get back to that overnight high? Do we break out from it or do we pull back through it? I would like to see, if we get the idea to go short, it's going to be hard because we're going to be up above VWAP. We're going to be up above our opening range. Once you start to get back above opening ranges, it tends to kind of help to hold it. So I'm not going to go quick on the first entry. I'm going to wait for maybe that setup there, something like that for a short from the overnight high, if we're going to do that. But if we never cleaned up this overnight low, my thought is that a break of the overnight high gives us a long idea. Because it does give you a break of overnight high, break of high of day, break a lot of things, break of opening range high. Lots of reasons there for that break to be an interesting point. NVIDIA is kind of just trapped between 119 and 121. If it can break and hold above 121 up to 122.30, and then like I said, if we can crack through that 122.30, 122.40, then up higher NVIDIA will go. But if it doesn't, if it continues to use that 122.40 as an overhead resistance, then that could give us that short idea again in the NASDAQ. Looking at the Russell curling a little bit, which gives the bid back to the NQ some. Usually they're all kind of correlated, but today the divergence is Russell leads us up, which pushes NQ and ES down some. So right now, Russell is still on highs, but had a little bit of a slowdown there. There was no divergence in Delta. Nothing here telling me, hey, we should probably go here. There's a 50-something lot up over at 20,100. So that probably looks to get drawn in and filled. Yeah, I'm not aggressive with this. Very, patient on it. Not looking to go crazy. It's my first day back. I knew that Top Step had some issues on open the last 2 days. I had a nice day on Monday. Very quickly in the morning, was able to execute. Today, we possibly could have as well, but realistically, as I mentioned, we never kind of cleaned up that overnight high. I never got to my level where I find my A+ setups. We're right back into the middle of the range where I don't want to be executing anything. I want to do something down here at the overnight lows. I want to do something here at the overnight highs. What can possibly happen at those levels, right? We got to just wait and see what price does. Does this now become a continuation play if it does get through the low? Because it's now the third time you got some longs trapped. Or is it going to be trap high, trap low, and then run it up, right? Like there's lots of things that could happen if that occurs. If it gets up over the overnight high, same deal. It could just continue to scream higher right into previous day highs, clean back up some of that mess. And I'll make that decision kind of based on if the NVIDIA chart is looking like it wants to break out as well. Microsoft, let's see what Microsoft's doing. Sold off all morning and is catching a bid here at yesterday's low. Ice cream. This kid wants ice cream at 9 in the morning. Let's So there's high and low on Microsoft. If you look at Microsoft here, you got Microsoft. This is yesterday's low. This is pre-market high. Also pre-market high from yesterday. Kind of seemingly a very important level from 2 days ago. So watch Microsoft in this range. If it breaks down from here, then down it has to, I guess, that 428 level down below for our next area of interest. But bouncing from that level. NVIDIA also bounced right off exactly kind of how we were talking about what it would do. If we get back into here and start to rotate back down, could pull us down in the NQ. Really need to see what happens around here. If this is going to act as support, that 120.90, 121. And then if we do push all the way up and through here, are we going to rotate back up to 125, right? Is this just going to grab that liquidity, then start to catch a bid, and go from there? So we are just chopping around in the middle of my range. Never made it over the overnight high. Never made it all the way through the overnight low. Nothing set up for me 100%. The only maybe could have happened was that long from 40. Otherwise, I don't have that long set in the strategy here for this play, because realistically, this still looks like it wants to do that next little leg down, and it never pulls it off. It continues to stay strong. So, not quite an A+. Not quite. If you are interested in taking a combine of any sort or wanting to trade Top Step, I have a link somewhere that'll give you all the information. I will pull it up. I just forgot where I put it. It's in the YouTube information, so you could always go into YouTube. If you are over there, click it's the Get Yourself a Combine Unfunded. Use the link below. That is very helpful. It helps me show Top Step that I have people coming, and if you click that link, it'll help get you into some combines. I think there is sometimes a discount. I'll let you know when there is discounts. I will always send them out, share them out. If there's going to be a reset code or anything like that, I will do that as well. Right now, decent size again, filled here at 86, 85, 86. So it's like a 50, 75, almost 100 lots here at this level at 86. So is it going to be a seller or a buyer? Who knows? But it's just a larger execution on the bid. Anybody got any questions, comments, concerns, something that they're looking at right now for me? Right here, sitting on VWAP, sitting middle of my range. I have no executions. This purple box is the opening range for the day. 1 minute opening range. That's what I always put here. 1 minute opening range there. So you have an idea what that is. I'll do that on the S&Ps as well, just so we have it. 830 is right there. Okay. Yeah, I mean, have you made your money overnight? Good on you. I don't have that. I appreciate you too, Jofi. I love it when you come by. You always have good things to say, good analysis out there. So it's always great to have people out there that are kind of seeing the same things, or even a little bit opposite, just kind of throwing ideas out there. We could always bounce stuff off each other, because that's what this game's all about. There is such thing as a failed breakout above VWAP, technically. It's hard to say with NQ as opposed to like S&P. So VWAP does get respected. It does hold. You can see here on the overnight quite a bit of respect here for that VWAP. Respect. And then you try to break above it and it sits and holds. Then it runs, right? Here you can see yesterday, that's not a failed breakout. That could maybe fail. It kind of lingers on both sides of VWAP. It kind of just gives you an idea of sentiment. It's hard. I don't have a VWAP play. A lot of people do have VWAP plays. The reason I use VWAP, I use it for a target because that's just where people want to get involved. So if we get very extended from the VWAP, I know big hedge fund managers, I know a lot of people that are in the larger firms that are trying to fill their orders, usually try to fill those orders around VWAP. That's a lot of times why it's choppy around the VWAP, because you're going to get a ton of orders being executed around these areas. So for me personally, I personally don't want to execute where there's a ton of executions, because that's usually where the whippiness happens, right? So if you were going to think of this logically there, Scott, if you wanted to say, is this potentially a failed break of VWAP or not to go short, I would lean on the side of not, only because of your S&Ps leading you to the high side. It could be, and it could be like maybe the next time down, or maybe if we retest the opening range low, then maybe that's the rotation back down, and then the next break of VWAP is going to give you that flush like this one. But with S&Ps pushing up higher and higher and higher over their VWAP, kind of gives you the indication that the NQ will use the VWAP as support here to try and rotate higher, especially now too as well. NVIDIA is holding over that 121 level, not very strong, right? It's kind of sitting there at 121. So, this could just chop on top of here for a long time and trick you into going short through it a few times and do the same thing, kind of pop back up to 100. Because it's this key psychological level here at 20,100. VWAP is right here. You're going to get a ton of orders executed. We're not trading huge size, right? So we want to understand how our little contracts can get involved at areas that big players, maybe they don't want to get involved at necessarily. I mean, that's what we want, but we want to get back to where they're going to execute a ton of orders. So that's why I always likely use VWAP as my first target on an extended move outside of that area, right? If I have this overnight high, overnight low distance to VWAP is beautiful for me. This really could have been a nice little entry. If we were just a couple ticks lower, I would have been entering in this long up here through this low to get back to VWAP. And you can see pull back to VWAP, and then you get choppy. Here as well, from the top, the actual overnight high was created right here at 806. If we, since we didn't whip it or flush it, I can't attempt to take a failed breakout of a breakout that didn't happen, right? So that's not my strategy, but we did pull back right and sat on top of VWAP here. So you got the same deal going on now. Maybe it rotates back into the opening range, grabs some liquidity here and starts to rotate back down. Or maybe Scott's right and it breaks now down because S&P's is breaking down now. NVIDIA is trying to get down back below 120.90. So, there's reasons why it maybe wants to go back down. If we get back down to the overnight low again, then I'll start to get interested, see if that failed breakout happens, if we're going to get that failed low. Or if we're going to get a continuation low where we break, retest, rotate down into previous day lows, I can potentially take that breakdown pattern. The reason I can take this low and not necessarily the breakout of the high currently is because, I could. It's not terribly out of the realm of possibility, but over the last few days, we've been in a downtrend. So a more likely scenario for me, in my eyes, is if it does break down, then potentially after this pullback to VWAP, you got a lot of orders here. Then that next touch of VWAP, next touch of the overnight low is maybe a true flush, right? It's an actual break of it. But since it hasn't broken once yet, there is somebody holding it up here at the 25 level that maybe that first break, I'll get my opportunity to get it, and then it'll rotate down and break. So I'm going to look for that first breakout, failure, rotate back up to highs. And if that doesn't take place, then it won't be a failed breakout then. It'll be a confirmed breakout, rotate down to previous day lows. And as I mentioned, previous day lows and the 980 level, really that area right there is an interesting area of resistance. And then down to 926 will be the next area of interest. So 926 if you are going deeper lower. That would be an interesting lower target for you. But this is going to get heavy fast if it seems like it wants to. So Scott was right, technically, so far. It looks like a failed breakout. It looks like a lower high. It looks like it wants to do all that stuff. You have a ton of volume in here. Delta played out, all that fun stuff. But just kind of thinking through the analysis of it with S&Ps being up and over its VWAP, the likelihood of this breaking down, failing, and confirming was not as likely to me, as that's why I didn't take it. If you wanted to take it, Scott, like I said, watch that now. If that's something that you want to be interested in the future, if that's something that you want to put into your plan, then you can do that. But just make it a note. Say this time, like I was telling people before, record your screen, understand where the levels are, understand what your setups are, why maybe at this level it worked, but at this level it didn't work, and then just draw up a little spreadsheet or something, and then if you can prove to yourself that seems to work out more times than not, and then what can you do to tweak it a little bit to say, okay, this is going to make it that much more successful, right? Did this trade here work out? Yes. Is it part of my A+ setup? No. So I didn't take it, right? So that's, it's a nice move. It happened. It didn't happen without me because I didn't have a plan to get into this until it got through this level here. So just kind of like little things like, yes, I kind of talked about this probably turns around here, but I'm not convinced totally, so I'm not ready to take this execution. You just need to find those rules that are going to define when you do get in and when you do not get in, right? Just as simple as that. I think realistically, it's kind of easy to see when you're not in the heat of the moment. And then when you try to simplify yourself down, it's easier to kind of just see things a little bit more clearly and then understand that sometimes you're just not going to catch a move, and that's okay because it didn't meet your criteria. And if you can just stick to that, it's really just all about meeting criteria that makes it so that you're more comfortable putting on risk, right? You're more like, I don't want to put on risk at VWAP personally. I know a lot of people do, and I know it's a really great strategy. I don't want to personally put on risk at a level if I'm thinking that I'm going to just lose on it, right? I don't want to put it on if I think I'm going to lose, because then I'm just going to be like, well, fuck this money, Why would I do that? I don't want to enter in those places. But if you like it, if it's something that you want to include in your setups for the future, you can notate to yourself here as well, right? We're in a downtrend on the day. We're in a downtrend from Monday, basically Tuesday. Yeah, since Monday, we've been in a downtrend. There's confidence in shorts at the moment until you get to whatever point. Yes, a pullback to VWAP could lead to longs that get through it. We're above it. We're holding above it. Is S&P's approaching its overnight high? Something that's going to confirm that this break is going to be the true breakdown or not. So I know it's hard to be super confident, yes, but every trade you take, every trade that you don't take, like all these things that you do adds to your memory bank, adds to your little playbook in your head that says, next time I see this, I can hit it and go. That's why I can see you say, you have your tilts were long, your MACD was green, trying to go red. Like, that's why a lot of times I took away, as everything I did, I tried my best to take stuff away and then only add something that I liked, that I really could understand. If this happens, then this happens, per se, right? Like, maybe not 100% of the time, like with the Delta. I like Delta because all it shows me is aggressive buyers and sellers at that moment in time. So it's almost as if it's its own real-time chart. So that's why it is not necessarily a leading or a laggard. It's just kind of information. I use that. I use the volume profile. This volume on here is just kind of indicative of, every single day there's volume that decreases throughout the morning. I do want to see, if we get through a level and a volume spike and then we fail, then I know that there's potentially the turnaround point. So I have volume here, the volume profile, right? I add that. I use, the Mag 7 names because these are indexes and their basket of names, and what drives it is those Mag 7 names, right? So, really it's very hard to be confident, but what I always say, and I kind of started to use it as my thing, is confluence equals confidence. So if I get all of my pieces of the puzzle to be confluent and fit into the right spots, then I can confidently take my trade and put my risk on the table. And does that mean it's going to work 100% of the time? It does not. It just means that all of my pieces lined up, and that when this happens, maybe 75% of the time it works and I don't get stopped out and I can make money on that trade. How I go about like some of these other trades, right? If you're at a point where it's like, no, we didn't quite get all of the pieces to the puzzle, we got like 70% of the puzzle. Well, that 70%, maybe my win rate's 75% on the full complete puzzle. But if I only have 70% of the puzzle, that 30% of the puzzle that I'm missing potentially is something really bad and that I don't know. And that's just going to be it could decrease my win rate from 75, 80% down to 40, 30% in those crappy setups, right? So just find those things that can just add layers to what you're thinking and give you that confidence to put risk on. And if it works 70, 75% of the time, you're going to be there's a home run, right? Like, it's just not, for me, it's not worth executing this. It's not worth executing that, because I know when I do execute through the failed breakdowns, that I can make some good trades and I don't have to, trade more. And, I talked about this short here for people who want to take the trend line break. I said, if this trend line cracks, if you are a trend line, just purely trend line, no other, some people just don't look at anything else. If that's what you're looking for, you could easily get a move to VWAP and maybe potentially down through the overnight lows and what clear there. Then I was talking about the long potentially through here. Jovi was talking about it. I just said I need my full setup to get into that long, right? This could break and continue on. That's why I think that a continuation breakdown is likely on a crack of the overnight low. However, if it doesn't, I'm going to be ready to capitalize on that failed breakdown, push back higher. And that's where my trade setups come into play, right? So I want to see this down. I want to see a failure of this low. I want to see people getting exuberant about shorts, and then I want it to just run into a wall and then run right back up. And that's my goal, to catch those people off guard, right? I like when the people's, VWAP shorts were great, and then they push price right down to 20,000, and then they run it right back up to VWAP and beyond. And that's where I want to take my setup. And then if it just continues down, if it's going to be a confirmed breakdown, then it should never come back in and fill me for a long. It should just kind of continue down and be a strong breakout. So that's what I'm looking at for my long opportunity. It would only be if I get that push down close to 20K and then the rotation back up over 20, this 1850. But realistically, you could see that wick there. That's where the buyers started to step in at 24. So use this more recent information to kind of get my information further along the line and try and get that long idea there. So NVIDIA is selling, trying to push us down back to that 119.50, 119.39 level. If that happens, then hopefully we can get this down below, which will help potentially that S&P push back to VWAP, catch support at VWAP. S&P will start to run off VWAP, and we'll try to catch back up with the NQ. And that's where I want to see that kind of confidence. If it can continue short side, and then we're just going to continue to melt and melt and melt, and we can get all the way into that gap, right? Realistically, we can get anywhere, but this is where we're at now. This is that gap. This is that analysis that I was talking about from previous contract to the new contract. At some point, it does like to get filled. So could we get down into there? That would be a really nice bounce point if we do. If not, if it's going to accept into here, I would expect that gap fill. But right now, I'm looking for a bounce off the overnight low. And if that's not saying that I don't want or expect this price to continue downside any further, it's just that my strategy will get me to that point, and then whatever happens after that, I don't care, right? I just want to catch my piece, and then whatever happens to the markets afterwards, I don't care. 25 was the the wall before. I want to check up on my delta, right? I said if I get down here on price, I don't want delta to be aggressive through this level here. There is a big buyer down below at 10. What is that? 100 lot at 10. Beautiful. I like that. 100 contracts at 20,010. So right here, if that 100 lot gets filled, watch to see if it runs. And if it doesn't, if it rejects that 100 lot, if somebody front runs a 100 lot at 11, then we could really get a good buy come in off of that. But it needs to get to that 10 lot, that 10, 20,010. Still sitting there. $114 at 20,010. Get through that low. All right. So now we're looking for our setup. 70% short. Really great. All that jazz, fun stuff. Get down to 10. Fill it there. Stop by 1 there. If we can get through that 10. And then bounce. That'd be great. That'd be great. If it flushes 20,000 even, then maybe straight down. Like I said, if it's going to be a true confirmed breakdown, it should not come back and fill me. It shouldn't. It should just keep going. And I like the short. Like I said, I think that the short through this level does have confidence to continue to go. But I said, if I'm not looking to take that. I want to take those. If they catch a bid, I'm going to be on the other side of it, ready to go. That's a really nice short off VWAP, Scott. Great call on it. Like I said, I just don't trust. I didn't trust it at that level at that time. The way S&Ps was leading us higher, and that's just me, my analysis. If you can get to a point where your analysis says something different, then that's a different story. So look at this beautiful, nice, clean move right to the previous day low, or getting close to it. But like I said, S&Ps is now getting close to their previous overnight low. And that's when S&Ps turns around and we like to get a nice little bounce. NVIDIA can bounce off of 119 even. I'm not front running my level. I'm going to just let the overnight low do its thing. If it does want to rotate off, that's plenty of reward for me as far as risk to reward is concerned. But it could start to give you a little wedge pattern down here around 20,000. Then the failure of 20,000 gives you that rotation back up. If this continues to go straight down, then the sellers just continue to pour in. There was 70% short here. It's tilted back down to 55%, which is nice. Delta did flush through that low, but it didn't come as deep as price did. So price came down really deep right into a previous level that I had drawn up. So I draw up these levels on purpose at some point. I think that big size that got filled was drawing shorts in for this kind of move. If we do return back above this single standard deviation from VWAP, you're looking at a nice little move back through 12, back through these levels and beyond. But everything is selling off now. Russell's selling, S&P's is selling. We are in a kind of a melt mode. I want to see a little bit of a wedging pattern here. Previous day low, now got tagged. So now this is where I could get interested in it as well, right? I could get interested at my key levels, previous day highs, previous day lows. I like this if this sets up for the long at the previous day low, but I want to see if it'll give me a setup. I don't want to just take that first breakdown because that is really heavy. Buyers stepped in a little bit, but you got that heavy delta, heavy price. And we're going to go ahead and cancel this order for now. I don't want to have it just lingering there for it all. You can rotate this any way you please, but the break of previous day low gives you the confidence. Just what I said about a short through that overnight low kind of makes a lot of sense as far as that that clean price move because of just the heaviness. I will give it one shot here over this level, over 70, if S&P gives a bounce above 56.38. Because NVIDIA is looking like it wants to bounce here. So Delta rolling a little bit. 63 has a 70 lot. What I say, the next level down is 926, which is that white line. From that white line, you may get a whip below down into like 910 if it gets there, but I don't know if it's going to get there. If we get right back up over this previous day low. I'll take the long through that level over this candle. I want that candle to get canceled out. I don't want to just get wicked in at previous day lows and then rotate back. So we're going to wait and see. Be patient on it. See if it's going to go. If it's not going to go, then we're not going to be upset about missing the short either. I kind of talked about how this overnight low break was going to be a confirmed break and not necessarily a trusting bounce play. And clearly that was the true move right there. The short through there made a lot of sense. Obviously in hindsight, but if you rewind the video, not in hindsight, I do talk about why that made sense there for the short, just based on the way price action was acting, based on the downtrend, based on a lot of the information. Now here is where we need to make decisions, right? Front running 926, previous day low. Are we going to stay out of yesterday's range, or are we going to continue on into new territory? Are we going to just continue to go short side until we get down into 760s? It's realistic. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I think we're a little extended here. I think a long back through that low makes sense, even through that upper range of VWAP, lower band of VWAP, I should say. If it cracks this level, we're going to get triggered. If it doesn't, we're going to stay out. We're accepting back in. We're in. Oh, failing that. Are we going to get through it? I'm going to try and be patient with this candle. Let it go a little bit. Failing it, and it looks like it wants to roll over still. Yeah, we're out, down 2. I'm going to turn those executions off because I don't like seeing them in my face. Save. Okay. You can see that wick that just grabbed us and now is rotating down more. I will look to see if I get one more lower low push, and then the next breakthrough I could get long through that, but technically kind of looks like it just wants to continue to roll over. Took that one short. The one long there. I'll give that buy one more chance here. You can see Delta creeping back up. Oh, what the hell is that? Okay. I'm willing to try this again because I do like the way that price is pushing back off. I like the way NVIDIA now is pushing into that 118.70-ish. If it cracks through that, then maybe we don't want to get involved in a long, but that wick is interesting as far as grabbing some liquidity and going back downside. Yeah, cancel that. Not going to get involved yet. It's 9:39. Going to be patient. Let this thing go a little bit. Yeah, we took one loser there, but just based on our levels, if we can flush through this 26, rotate back up, I do find this to be a key level. As I mentioned, down into that 10s for there to be some support there. If that cracks, then 841 probably comes. 841s. So we're going there. We took one shot at it, took a loss on it, but we are not too worried about that. A higher low there. Delta not playing, so we do have the divergence in Delta, right? You can see price trying to make new lows, Delta holding up, but seemingly like it wants to get heavy again. As heavy. Okay, that's nice. Volume is increasing here, an increased volume at this 26 level. Delta not pushing down like price. You can see price pushing heavy, heavy, heavy. Delta staying relatively strong. There's aggressive buyers coming in here at this 20 level. If that turns around and continues to sell, then so be it. You're not going to get triggered in, but this could be that push, that next leg down that wants to just trap people in, but it doesn't feel whippy. It feels heavy. Size here at 20 and 910. 910. I'm watching this Delta. My entry is still over that 70, well, 69, 75. And we cracked on NVIDIA. So NVIDIA now pushing downside some more. Looking for Delta. I want to see some aggressive buying in this Delta. I want to see buyers stepping in up over the 20s. Still very heavy. Stuck to the plan for the week so far. Still stuck to the plan. That was a good entry idea. I mean, we went up $100 on that. Didn't quite get to even. I wasn't convinced that was going to be I wanted it to come, even if it came down a little bit and then popped, we wanted to let that thing play out some. So if we, take a base hit on it, I'm cool with that as well. But NVIDIA found its area of support again right here at 117.71. See if that holds. Delta needs to pop. I need Delta to kind of creep on up here, get back above those levels, get some aggressive buyers coming back in. Size overhead, not crazy. Still pushing downside. Higher low in Delta. All right, let's see what happens around this 900 level. Seems like it's hitting a wall here. Unfortunately, Scott, your trade would have played out gorgeously. However, I did not see that was going to be the play, so I did not take it. That's also not part of my plan. I like the idea, though, there, Scott. It was a really nice, clean move. I know you didn't. I need to see Delta start to pop here. I need to get over this VWAP band, hold above it. If it's going to use that VWAP band as resistance, we're going to not want it. But if this breaks here and goes higher through this, you would think that previous day low would now be an accepted push back up. Yeah, broken clocks are right twice a day or whatever. Yes, sir, they are. I think if we can accept back over 26, then maybe then we get our entry good here. See what happens. These This VWAP band is at 42. So if we get back up over that, I would say I get probably close to getting filled on the previous day low. See, that's at 42, right? So the lower band is there. If it cracks that, we'll see if it gets up over that previous day low. I will take that entry because that's going to confirm that I think we get back above it and re-accept. But if this is just going to continue to be heavy, NVIDIA got some okay news there with the ANSYS to collaborate with NVIDIA Supermicro to provide hardware for multi-physics simulation, which sounds scary. I think we do rotate off this level at 17. That seems like support here, 117.70. If it continues to flush, NVIDIA might be broken. It does have down to 115.01 technically is the low recently, but I don't think we want to get that low yet. Being patient, trying to see if this will rotate off. I mean, realistically, I had to take that entry there based on that criteria. Everything was lined up, was the right idea. Trying to break that pre-market low and come back up. Break that previous day, come back up. Obviously, I said that the breakdown from overnight low is probably likely, so that kind of was probably the trade to take, in hindsight, that breakdown of that overnight low. But I think we can still potentially look to see if this will crack up. Ran right into that upper band of VWAP again, used it as resistance. If this cracks above the upper band, this lower band here, and starts to hold above it, then that potentially could act as support in that range of extension away from VWAP to try and rotate us back in. S&P is very heavy. Russell pulling back all the way towards the opening range. Let's see if I have any news. Market Watch. Tell me anything. Nothing. Don't buy the dip as summer slump is officially here, says Goldman strategist. Sounds like a reason to buy the dip, if I say. Took one loser there on that on that long idea here. I would like to re-enter that idea if it does turn on me at 926. NVIDIA is starting to get some more bids here at 117, pushing back up over 118. And S&P has down here to that 56.21, it seems, in the recent past. This was some sort of support. If I go back to the 15-minute, you can see that area of support there. I guess that's the PPI low. So if we crack through that PPI low, then who knows where we go. Let's see what happens with this chart. I like this. Curling back up. See if we can get back up over that upper band, that lower band of VWAP, 42-ish is that level. We're right at that right now. So if we can crack above this band, start to rotate back up, could put us on the other side of the V. I don't want to enter right now. I don't trust it on this downtrend. Still could hold and hold and hold and hold and hold all the way down. And NVIDIA just ran into overhead resistance. So if it does crack above it, then maybe we start to catch a bid on everything. And then my trade idea here could rotate us through there cleanly. And then we'll be happy with that trade on the day. 10 minutes till I can not execute. So hopefully we can get this working in our favor before that personal not being able to trade time frame, 5 minutes to an hourly close. That's a strong candle if I'd ever say. See if that'll hold. If that holds, then the next break up above potentially could give us our entry up in. If it's not, if it's going to stay down below the previous level. You'd expect it not to necessarily get up over that candle there at 70. I'm going to try it again. Give it a shot. See if we get long here. See if it triggers us. If it gets through this, if it's going to be a fast move, I'm going to trail quick. If not, we're going to kind of just probably be done for this account. We'll lock them out, not try and go crazy with our ideas today. I like that. First rejection. Delta pushed, didn't quite want to get up over there, not aggressive, but now we're starting to push up. See if this will be the next leg up. S&P needs to hold that. Is there bigger size? Nothing that I see. 76-ish. And we're filled. So hopefully we get up over that quick. I'm going to go to even once we get up 100. There we go. I'm at even now, so this should go fast now, right? I want it to go quickly. I want to get up over this candle and never come back. I'll take a little bit. There we go. So at least I took back half of a loser. I'm up over 1-1 on this trade. 300 on it. I'll take my loss back, but I think that this is going to continue on up technically speaking. 250. All right, so now I'm fairly safe in this, right? Now I can let this thing play a little bit. I want to get back to VWAP, but I don't think I'm going to let it get enough breathing room, to be honest. It was nice. Nice little breathing room there. And it wants to stop us out, I think. Yeah, it wants to fill us. There we go. Up $34. Nice little short, quick little move. Like I said, I don't trust this up through 20,000 yet. I did like that to be able to give me that move, give me that trade, get me from that one loser back to the winner. I do still like my overnight low ideas. I don't necessarily trust that this downtrend isn't over yet. I just want to get myself back to square, give myself good trade location, and we will continue to move forward from that. Because I think maybe we can get back below here, like, right? So this first move necessarily doesn't trust it. I want to get back below, maybe get down to that 50, and then fucking pop it. That would be the right pop, right? That secondary pop, especially since Delta didn't play following through, right? I think I mentioned that there was some size up overhead a little bit. So let's see if we can do it again. If we get through that previous day low, try to push down. And then if it can hold that, 50 level and rotate back up, I want to take that long again. But overall, that was a good trade. I'll take that. I probably could have even trailed it even tighter up into once these wicks started to get close to it, maybe up into here. But, can't go wrong with taking that 250 and walking off on it, 240 we made on that. Green is green on the day. That's still safe. Like if you weren't looking to kind of make back what we were looking to make, and you shouldn't trade your P&L, but at the same time, when it comes to some of this, I want to buy myself another trade. If it's not an A, it's an A+ setup, it is, but you can't go wrong taking a 1-to-1 or a little bit more than a 1-to-1 on that trade, especially the way price has been very heavy. But talking through this and how it all kind of plays out, maybe now we get back up over the overnight low, which would be nice. It would have been nice to catch that little bit of a piece there. That's just on me for being a little tight on that. But overall, that's, like I said, you go up 1-to-1, you go up that amount, take it and, go. We're copy trading. We're not trying to hit home runs here. I just think that the idea was correct, right? That's why I took the second test through it, especially after that deep push down lower. Getting Delta now to play along. I like that. Overnight low retest could now end up being a short idea. Let's see if S&Ps will get up to VWAP or not. Just for reference, I'll put my executions here so people who just join us don't believe us necessarily that we are executing here or not, whatever. These are our trades. I was long here, out there. I was long here, out here. 1 for 2 on the day, and we're up $34.40. So basically, what's that at? 2018. Our entry was 69.50. So 69.50 was here. And we captured up to there, but we were looking to get up into view up. Really, you're still safe. Even if you have stops below here, you're up 650 on this move per contract. Could be rejecting that overnight low. So be prepared for that to fail, especially the way Delta's acting here. You have some size up overhead at 20s, 22s. So watch 22s to kind of pull us in and then maybe rotate us down again. But that's our idea so far. I'm going to go use the restroom real quick. I have 5 minutes till the hourly close, so I don't have the ability to execute. So give me a second. Are you going to science? In 5 minutes? Huh? At 11? You guys being good boys? Don't do that. You're cute. And there's that rejection. Looking like not quite exactly there yet, but right. Still here for you people. We are maybe exactly the same on both accounts here, just making sure. We are working on 2 other combines as well. I'm not trading those. They're not copy traded at all, so we're not doing that. So let's see what happens with this overnight low, if we can base out and rotate higher, or are we going to fail it and continue to rotate down. It seems like a nice retest area. NVIDIA is starting to rotate down a little bit. Maybe get a whippy candle up into the 20s and then maybe try to look to short that. Just continue the trend for the day because S&P just cracked its low, so maybe not. Anybody seeing anything that they like necessarily here now? So I'm able to execute around these levels. I can't trade for another 2 minutes anyway. That's my my rules. 5 minutes to an hourly close. I like to see what kind of manipulation goes on within that hour, that end of the hour. That 30-minute candle looks, very wicky. If you look at it here, this is the 30-minute. Big wick down into those levels and accepted back up over previous day lows. Maybe now we are on the other end of it. So we're going to wait and see if this hourly close, basically this 30-minute close here, closes above or below these areas of interest. And then if it's going to continue to start to turn green and rotate back up, is this going to be the low? Because I like that 30-minute wick to be a low or a high, right? You got a high here, right there. Big wick, big wick, big wick here for the low. Big wick for the low. Let's see if that's going to be the case. I like that as a longs. So looking at it on 30-minute time frames as opposed to or an hourly, you know, kind of gives you a little bit of a picture of what's going on. Does that next leg down confirm, or does that next leg down give you another opportunity to try and take a long through that level? Is it going to be a breakdown again and a pop? Is this going to be a higher low? And then now you rotate up to VWAP? I like that idea. Through 82s. I don't know if that red line is actually accurate. I don't think it is. Yeah. I think I'm going to remove those CPI, PPI VWAPs. I won't do it now, but I'll do it for you at some point. Here's where we're at for the day. Opening range is up here. Oh, this is today. Right there. Full day for us. You know, the opening range, we immediately broke it, came back. Now we're just trending to the downside. There is still a chance that we do rotate back. Our 30-minute, this is a big wick on the 30-minute accumulating orders. Didn't quite get through that previous day low again, which is interesting. If we crack the previous crack through that overnight low, gave us a really nice flush this way. Does a crack of the overnight low give us that same move back to the upside? That would be that same type of strategy that I have going on. I'm watching Delta is kind of remaining flat, which is not giving you deeper pullbacks, which does give me an indication that we do want to continue back upside, back up over that 20,000. There it goes. So we're over 20,000. Does 20,000? Does the high of this candle break? And do we get a good opportunity for a long on a break of this, right? Does that break of here give you at least a VWAP, which would be, you know, pretty clean? Higher low. If this breaks through here, I think VWAP does come into play. You do need S&Ps to help you out. You do need NVIDIA to help you out. See if it does work. Be willing to try that. I like the setup. I like the way it's forming. I like now we're on this side of the V. We haven't quite broke that down yet. I did mention that as soon as we get up over this lower band of VWAP, that's probably going to be your ignition point for a rotation higher, closer back to the regular VWAP. Happy baby. Do. Got a espresso shot for the day. I'll take some water, please. Thank you, assistant. I don't think she likes when I say that. All right, let's see if this will bounce. Yeah, you get paid. If I can make a good trade here, you get paid. Thank you for the espresso shot. 20,000, not holding. This trend line not trying to hold. Delta getting a little heavy. Larger size above, nothing huge. 50 lots. 49, 50, nothing crazy. Nothing below, anything below us? No. It's almost like the algos just have like a split standard deviation away from current price where they just place larger orders and they just bounce back and forth off each other. I do like this still to hold. Thank you. Previous day low. Could that crack be the next rotation down? NVIDIA still getting heavy again. We are holding now down below that 982 level. Or just trying to hold it right now, not holding below it. We're kind of dancing around with it. That could be a good support spot. So we are up $34.40 across to two accounts. So solid trading day here today. Personally, just looking back at this entry, it was a great entry, good idea. Could have trusted it a little more. Let the thing be at break even. And then just trusted that it doesn't get stopped out. and then wait for that next break of that candle and see what happens from there. I do like this pullback as like a clean push back down into that level again. That would be our entry from before here at 69.50. So you broke down that level. It gave you a nice little but Nvidia now cracked through 118.69 as well. So 60% short, heavier short tilt. More people looking to get short here at this level. This does give an interesting, it's already cracking and giving you a good return on that short. Nice people going with the trend, making money today. There was this opportunity here where I could have probably gotten to break even kind of quick. So should realistically, if I, break this down a little bit better, breaking myself down, just kind of reflecting intraday here, just trying to get a good idea of what I could have done a little bit better on this trade here. The way I'm quick to break even on a lot of trades, that one I failed to get myself back to break even when I got up close to where I wanted to be at a point of where it wants to break out or not. It is what it is. It's fine by me. We made it back on the nice entry here at 69 up to 81.50. So we got stopped out at 81.50. Obviously, price continued to move on up. That was a good, clean move there. If you were more patient and you just left your risk on the table, maybe if I didn't already take that loss there, we could have been a little bit more risk averse and waited. But I think I probably would have trailed out maybe at closer to 90. So 69 to 90 is not a bad little move. 20 points. Take it. That was a nice breakdown there. Once that trend line cracked, you could see you gave it a little wick retest, and now you're rotating back down. Good targets are the low of the day, which will give you a nice little $1,500 move per contract. It doesn't take a lot with the NQ, right? A lot of these things just kind of continuously happen, and if you can catch the little ebbs and flows of the market and I'm going to get rid of this order before it fails to go away and just gets filled magically. I've seen that happen. So if I'm not actively looking to execute, I don't want to have an order out there. You can see our follower and our leader up $34. We can go over to our performance center currently. This is basically exactly what I want to see, right? I want to see base hits, base hits, base hits. Monday we hit a nice little bit of a home run. I'll call it a nice little double or a triple. Now, we didn't trade yesterday or the day before, and then today we're up a little bit. Executing our strategy, clean, base hit. Our average winning trade is bigger than our average losing trade, which is the way you stay profitable over long term, right? And just continue to keep these days green. I consider these days 16 and 17 green by not executing on them. I don't want to execute on days on my phone. I'm not around. I'm not doing what I want to be doing. So why would I want to be executing? So currently sitting green on the day. Does that mean we're going to end the day green? Not necessarily. I still am looking for another opportunity here to, since we are in interesting areas of where I would like to execute. Prices are at a major structure support levels. NQ, again, looking to break through 926.75 right there. That's a zone all the way down to low of the day, down to 19,900. If that 900 cracks, then 841 is my next area where I want to see price get down to. I'm not going to execute down in those rare areas. I'm just going to continue to watch. If it does start to just bleed out and continue downside, there's no more opportunity for me. That's basically a continuation breakout working, and I'm not in that game. I like this 5621 to act supportive, because I said that that's the PPI low for S&Ps, could act as support here. If that cracks and gives up, then the low of the day I would anticipate for the NQ to give up as well. So I want to see what happens with 5621 quarters for PPI lows. So we are cracking through the 26. Still waiting to see what happens with this 5621 quarter level of that PPI low for S&Ps. Trading the confluence equals confidence thing that I was mentioning before. Just kind of trading when all the levels kind of line up together. It gives you that confluence where you could be like, okay, if this happens on S&Ps, then likely, since we are around similar levels, not necessarily PPI lows because we're below those in the NQ, but we are at structure and we're at levels where buyers could step in and play a big role in this. And NVIDIA is making a higher low, and all these things that kind of play together where you're like, okay, maybe if this happens over here on the S&Ps, then that'll be the leader, and then we can follow along, maybe just a little bit, catch some moves with the NQ, right? So we can get a failed breakdown of 26 because 5621 helps, act as support on NVIDIA. I mean, on the S&Ps, then potentially could be nice, right? Especially since it flushed the low of the day and NQ is making a higher low. If you go over to our delta, still kind of continuing to push down, so you don't have that divergence. You are making new lows on delta. You're making not new lows on price. Russell is currently still above opening range, and S&Ps, we know where they're at. We're kind of just pushing straight down currently, right? I did like that trend line crack there. That break retest lower high did make a lot of sense. Overall, we're up tiny, basically break even on the day, which is fine by me. I'm all for that. I'll take 2 trades, make baby break even. Could be up a little bit more, right? This trade we were up about 100 and change. Could have went to break even, and then this one we were up about 400 on and gave a little bit of a pullback down to 250. So it's all about, technically in this world of scalping and being quick, you got to be quick, right? You got to really, if you're ready to go. Once Top Step X implements hotkeys, you can be a lot faster with hotkeys. You could really move stops and do things appropriately. When it comes to like that scalping kind of idea, I want to trail it by a couple ticks or whatever, at certain levels, right? I want to let this thing breathe a little bit. I really could have let it breathe a little more, only risking basically break even on this trade. Could have made it all back and then some be done there on that trade. But like I said, we executed according to our plan. We did what we wanted to do. This time the breakout didn't work. Second time through it did. I mean, the break of it didn't work the first time. Second time it did. We took the money, took the loss, took the win. If we can get every day like this, base hit, then the next, like we had on Monday, just one good trade, bang it out, be done for the day. So let's see what happens here with this level. If we're going to continue straight falling downside all the way down to 841. 841 is my next major structure level. Copy. Clone it. 841 quarters. I'm not executing at these levels. I'm just showing you them. Want to see what kind of reaction we have at those levels. If we start to continue to push downside, I'd like this to get into that 760, 75 maybe by tomorrow. Make some sort of decision, either if it's going to be a bounce or a breakdown, and clean that gap up that we have here. If you notice this from when I drew up my write-up a few weeks ago, this is when we rolled over the gap from the previous contract. It has not been filled yet. We did not clean this up. We made these all-time high breaks. We got some maybe potential rate cut news here. CPI making that CPI high. The pivot point currently from last week is now rotating us back down into these potential levels here where there were a lot of buyers, obviously once, twice, now maybe 3 times. If it gives up, then potentially we clean up this gap and we get back into some more healthy trading areas once that gap gets filled up, right? This is still clean, good trading. I feel, our strategy works well in many market environments, especially if you use them the correct way. Understanding that today we were in a downtrend, we were starting to break down some more. Sellers are in control so far this week. So potentially using that overnight low, as your level to, get that breakdown continuation right here, break down and push lower to levels beyond, and then start to catch bids later on, maybe either Friday or, early next week. So, for me, our strategy works well. Realistically, if we would have been able to get this up over the overnight high, that's an A plus. Like that's a home run trade right there, because you're in a downtrend. You're getting a failed breakout to the upside over an overnight level, trying to get buyers to get back involved, trying to pick a low on market open. Usually you can get up above it, and then you could fail it right away, and you could take that short and be pretty much safe the rest of the day. And obviously, so far so good. Anybody who is able to just front run it a little bit, I mentioned this trend line crack here. If you were able to play this crack, then you've never been in any heat so far at all today. Like you've never even came close to catching any sort of negative trade, right? It went right down to VWAP and then just continued to fall. So for me, my thought on everything is use the trend, use that broader market direction, use the strategy. If you're in a downtrend and you're opening at overnight highs, there's a good chance that the selling comes in. If you're in an uptrend and the overnight lows are where we're opening, it means that they're positioning for a long, potentially for the rest of the day. And so kind of just use that information for yourself, next time you get on the charts, next time you're in there, and just kind of notate it, right? If you notate on your trading view, right, price open at or near overnight highs. And that's all I do. I just notate those things here and there. And then I kind of go back and say, okay, it's happened quite a few times. And realistically, if I were a little bit more risky, if I were trying to front run my level of it, even if I scaled down, right, and I traded 2 micros on this, I could potentially have had this short and then just risk to the high and then let it go. But that's not what I'm looking for at the moment. So, you can see that 41 level got tagged and immediately a large buyer got filled there. A large order got filled there. Probably a good 100 lots right there at 41, 48, 45, 50. They got kind of filled in that area. But look at that target. Look at that. Beautiful bottom. Not saying that I'm exact, but I tell you the levels and you can do what you want with the information, right? There's reasons why I picked the levels. Maybe one day soon on a weekend when I get an opportunity, when I'm not working so much and not doing all this. Maybe when streaming becomes a little bit more full-time and, whatever happens elsewhere, dies down a bit. But with overtimes and trainings and stuff like that, I haven't been able to sit on the computer and just edit videos and do stuff like that for you. But I really want to give you the ideas of, why I come up with these major structure levels, why I come up with how I came up with my strategy, and what kind of things that you can do, moving forward to kind of help you develop your own. And, that's the kind of videos I want to make, because everybody can make supply and demand videos. Everybody can make, candlestick pattern videos and all this stuff. And, it's very simple what I do. And when I stick to it, it's profitable. When I deviate from it, that's when it's not. So really, it's all about learning to control your emotions, controlling your stuff in your internals, and your ability to just recognize that from here to here, if you were taking the short, good. But if you're trying to enter anywhere in the middle here, you're really getting yourself out of that, putting some odds in your favor. You're flipping a coin. 50-50 in here, and less likely to be 50-50. It's more likely to be, skewed to you losing, because that's what everything on in the markets is skewed to you losing. So you need to find a way to skew that advantage just slightly in your favor. And I find that to be the ability to wait for a price to get to a certain point before even thinking about doing anything, right? If you don't believe that I drew up that 41 level before it got there, go back in the stream about, a few minutes, 20 minutes or so, and you'll see that I drew it up well before that came down into that area and tagged it off. So just, some food for thought on the levels and the thoughts and everything behind everything there. If you are a coffee person like I am, go over to daytradingcoffeeco.com. Use code PolicingPips and get yourself 15% off. I'm currently sipping on the short squeeze espresso, so maybe we'll get a little short squeeze going, but I doubt it, because this is a very heavy market. This week has been all sellers all week. Any bids has been sold off, and just kind of understanding that market environment really will help you understand your directionality and your bias for the day. It's not something that you need to worry about long term, right? If you are a day trader, you are looking to day trade. So understand how the broad market environment affects you, and then draw out a plan for that day, and then make that adjustment for that day, and then keep going forward and doing what you got to do. Alrighty. Yes, like I said, daytradingcoffeeco.com. I'm rocking the white hoodie today. We got this in white and black. If you want any of those, head over there. Use that 15% off code. It's always good. It is Policing Pips. It'll get you 15% off, get you the hoodie, get you the short squeeze espresso. If you got a nice espresso machine to extract those good flavor notes out of that. If you want just regular coffee, we have 10 different roasts, including this espresso blend. So everything from decaf and light roasts, half calf. We got a few different medium roasts, different regions of the world that we have sourced coffees from, including Guatemala, Peru, all those great areas where Colombia, Ethiopia, these are great regions for coffee, and we try to provide as many different options for you as possible. If you're not sure what you like, you could always reach out to me, and I can give you a little bit more of a breakdown of each flavor. But every coffee blend has an identity on it. I can pull it up here if you want. You can see all of our coffees when it loads, because my stream is kind of slowing my computer down a bit. There we go. You also, if you're a first-time visitor, hit off the subscribe and save button. You'll get a second code for 15% off, so you could at least use your Policing Pips one later if you want. But we have all these blends of coffees. We do offer K-Cups. We offer volume discounts on K-Cups. So if you do want to order more than just 12 and 18 packs, we do volume discounts, but you got to message us for that. You can either send us a contact in here, contact us, or you can send me a DM on Instagram or whatever. You can go follow us over there. All of our dark roasts, it kind of goes in order of roasts, but if you do have a preference or some place that you get your coffee from, I would compare us to anybody out there as far as quality. Everything you order is roasted on demand. So as soon as you order it, it is roasted for you specifically. It's not just a big blend of roasts and just sitting there on the shelf. You're going to get the freshest coffee. And everybody who's gotten a delivery has always said that it just smells fantastic, smells fresh, and gives you that good, taste right off the jump. If anything I could recommend, if you are looking to get into buying higher quality coffees and stuff like that and trying to extract all the best flavors out of them, you want to get a good grinder. The grinder is the key to success in coffee brewing. So we're going to go back to the charts here, just kind of noting that 41 level seems like it's cracking, but also at the same time, we are getting that lower, that wedge pattern that I like around my key levels. So if you start to get something where it tightens up like this around a key level, you tend to start to see, short interest here is at 65%. Let's see if our delta is playing along at all. You do have a little bit of a buyer here in the delta, but nothing crazy. You can start to see it. Watch this lower band of VWAP as well. That lower band has been kind of acting as that resistance on the way up, and then once it cracks, that's usually a good play to go. Just big moves tend to happen on that tightening up, winding up at a key level, especially when short interest starts to keep increasing. And now that we've pretty much cracked this 41 level, the only next support level is that key 760 gap fill, this beginning of that gap fill area, that zone that I'm interested in for price to get to for a bounce. So honestly, if we do get into that 760s area today, I would be very interested in that to be a long from 760 and 3/4 all the way down to 610 is that gap. So that gap is 760s down to 610. That's where that gap is. But I like that wedge pattern right at our key level. So usually we get a little tightening into a key level. You started to get tilty short, and then you pop out of it. But you have to get some confirmation on delta, which you do get a little bit of a pop on delta, but nothing crazy. So just be mindful of this. I'm not saying execute this trade right here, right now. I'm just saying that that's something that I eyeball. That's something that I watch is one of those wedge patterns. I'd like to see it break and hold. There's a lot of things that are holding us down, like this upper band of this one standard deviation band away from VWAP is usually it's acting as overhead resistance. You have S&Ps holding nicely below that CPI, PPI low. Not CPI, it's PPI low. Too many PIs. So holding below that low, we're holding below this low until you start to see a rotation back that way. Then maybe this will start to rotate out, but technically still kind of okay in that pattern there. Not really looking to execute that. Like I said, it's just something that I'm interested in. I need more confidence in it. NVIDIA did crack through the lows, and it's at its major level of support right here of 116.50. So if it gives up 116.50, it's got all the way down to that 115, I believe I said. Well, I guess it has 115 even is that next level of support for NVIDIA. I want to see if Microsoft is doing anything, still selling off. We were talking about it earlier. Oh, that's that chart right there. I believe that's the right chart. Yeah, we're on the right chart. Okay. We're talking about Microsoft holding that support, right? This acted as support, then it cracked and gap down below it. Usually that's like a gap and go situation in an equity. So it is a gap below a major structure level. You got that full rotation of it yesterday, and then you acted as support there, rotated right back up, retested that gap and go area, and then has just completely sold off from there. Found some resistance at yesterday's low. Once you cracked yesterday's low, you got a really strong candle here down through. I mean, that's a couple dollars in that break. Oh, man, the boys are back in town here.
Back in town.
Back in town. Come on up.
We got another back in town.
Oof, oof, oof.
Ow.
Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Ugh. There we go.
Bunnies.
All right. So this is the time of day where the boys like to come and say hello.
Yeah.
Say hi.
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 Hello, everybody.
Hey, wait. We went to the movies the other day.
Oh, we went to the movies. Yeah, there you are, Max, right there. They are going to leave and go to the library. Yeah? Yeah, we're going to see some science.
Wait, this makes
Do some
no
science.
sense. I'm looking this way.
That's because the camera's over here. If you look at the camera there, then you're going to see yourself over there. But it's going to be hard because it's in real time here.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, everybody. We don't really have a trade here. There could be a break back above that 41, right?
I can't see myself.
All right. Don't yell in their ears. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye, Moose.
Bye-bye. Have fun at the library, guys.
Bye-bye, Moose.
All right. The boys are in and out. They like to come say hi every once in a while. So I let them. They're fun. They're having a good old time. Gonna get some water in us. Always like to have them get involved, be, daddy's working, but at the same time, we are going to look at this. They need to get involved as well. So NVIDIA is still rolling right through that low from yesterday. And like I said, NVIDIA has a ways to go to the downside. If it cracks through that down to that 115 even, and then beyond, I think 115 is major structure. 115.30, that's a really key level there. So just kind of watching NVIDIA, see if it'll catch a bid here, reaccept from yesterday's low all the way back up and then start to curl us to the upside. That could be the turning point for us for any sort of trade opportunity that you may have for the rest of the day. I do have like 30 minutes left in the stream, so I am going to kind of be just watching, seeing if I can get something here on the break of this 41 level potentially. I like that level. I like the way that pattern works out. Let's see if I can get some delta confluence. Delta's still pushing downside. I don't like that. I don't like that for an entry quite yet. Looking for good timing. Looking for maybe some larger size down below. There's a 75 lot at 812. So right there at 812, there's a 75 lot. 809, 810, there's a 10 lot, 50 lot. Down below that, there's another 50. Up overhead, there's a 50 at 35. So in that range, there's like that bracketed 50 lots around it. So it tends to kind of just sit in that range until there's some bigger size that displays itself to give us a little bit of a magnet. So I'm going to start watching the Surface Dome. I'll give you this little preview here of what I'm looking at on the other screen. So I'm watching this Surface Dome, looking for it. It's kind of like a book map, kind of like what you'll see on some other people's streams where there is book map. This might seem confusing if you don't know what you're looking at first. But realistically, it's just the amount of orders sitting at certain levels. So if you just zoom out, kind of like that's just what it looks like over the course of the day as price moves around. You can see larger order sizes get darker colors. They usually kind of stay within that little bit of a band around, 28 to 14. So like, 10, 20 points outside of where price actually is. The bigger the bubble, the bigger the fill, right? So I'm looking for darker red colors for larger sitting resting orders here. And right now we're not getting a ton of that. Price, you got up here, you have a 20 lot. That's an orange and yellow. Once you start to see dark red, bigger lot sizes start to appear. This just filled here. And that lot size was a 15 lot. So you're seeing these in real time where orders start to sit and just the depth of the market, right? If you start to see 100 lots, price is probably going to get drawn to those bigger order sizes. Or if they do get drawn to it, let's say like this one right here is a 68 orders sitting on the book at 800, just drove right through it and then blew right through it. Okay, so you could see that got filled and then got filled on a buy. So maybe it was more of a manipulation there at 800. It wanted price to get drawn to it, but now we are selling further. So stuff to be kind of interested in on whether you're going to break down or up at key levels is to look to see where there's bigger orders sitting on the book and if it'll draw price to that direction or not, right? So this wedge pattern actually ended up breaking to the downside, but now if you get that break flush of 800, rotate back up, NVIDIA is holding 116.50 as support. You need to see what happens over 41, if 41 holds or not. That's my thought. And then the big purple zone below, which I'm going to turn into like orange because I don't want it to be confused with like opening range. Oops. Background's going to be orange. Or I'm going to turn it green. All right. And then I can label it for you if you want. But for the most part, that's, I'll go back to that screen later if you want it. failed break of 800. Rotate back through this trend line. Maybe rotate back through 41. Then maybe gives you a bounce up to 926. Right? Kind of the same thing that happened here. Rotate back up to that level. Maybe we rotate back down. This could be a break. Larger size, right? Looking for that larger size to see if there'll be a magnet to draw us in a direction. I don't have that. You have a large size get filled there and like filled there. Not huge though. I could stop this if I want. So just check on the size of that order. 7 lots, not huge. More size getting filled here. So that's what I'm looking at on this other screen. If you ever see me looking that side, and I'm not, mentioning something that you see on this screen, just bring it up and I'll try and help you understand what I'm looking at. A break back above. Last time we broke above that lower band of VWAP, we got a nice pop. If you break above it again, and that's around that 41 level, potentially you get that same sort of pop right there up into that low. So that's what I'm really looking for. To potentially look for like a long through here, and then just take a quick little pop, with NVIDIA trying to catch a bid there. Could you play the pop of this? Yes, you could. You could take the 20 long. Good delta push right into that VWAP band. If that VWAP band cracks, then I think we can get that pop. Trying to get a good little feel on it. NVIDIA trying to hold 117.70. If it rejects it, then we continue to roll over. If it pops from it, then we probably catch a nice little move here. I'm not looking to catch a huge move, right? As I go 1-1, I'm going to get it even. As I go higher, I'm just going to continue to trail out and take the money that this market's going to give me. Delta pop of that band. So now we're above that lower band of VWAP. See if we rotate back up. We're filled. Up the even. See if this trade will take us to highs or if it's going to retest. Oh, it filled us. We made a nice $15 on that move there. I want to see if it'll pull back down here again and give me another entry onto it. Damn. I think I went to even just one candle, one tick too soon. I feel like we got a little bit of a spread fill on that. I don't think we technically were filled on that contract. If this breaks this high, I think we go. And I'm not going to re-enter. I'm not going to chase it. But I think that was the play right there. So let's see if it works out. I told you could front run it at 20. You would have been very safe to front run this at 20. That's a nice move from 20 to 50. That's 30 points right there. You can see once we broke through that upper band of this lower band of VWAP, that extended deviation. Last time we broke it, this time we broke it, got a nice little move out of it, right? You easily were up $500 on that. If you took it from 20, like I mentioned, you front ran it a little bit. You front ran it, you're up $700 on that trade pretty cleanly. So let's see if this fails, rotates down, gives us another opportunity, maybe comes back to 20, and then I'll take the next break of 41 again to see if we can get that bigger move upside. I do want it to get deeper. I don't want to get wicked in and it continues downside, right? All right, so we're coming back to that VWAP band. Delta's creeping up. I didn't want to get wicked in, so I'm not trying to do that. I want to see if this will close. All right, so now it's trying to close below here. That's a nice little liquidity grab there. I want to see what happens. NVIDIA is now popping a little bit. It's kind of running into that overhead where I'm not convinced if it's going to sell or not at 1869. So I don't want to buy this here and then NVIDIA reject that 118.69, 118.70 level because we're not popping like NVIDIA is. That's a nice move. That's a really nice move off that level. That 20 was really the entry. So 20 right there gave you that really nice clean move right above 41. I want to see if there's a bigger buy. Hold on a second. No size flashing close. 51, there's a little bit of a size, but nothing crazy. All right, we're holding that level. Delta's still holding higher. So let's see if we can get this to give us a good break. It's still downtrend. And this is what I was talking about. I didn't show you, but this is what I was looking for. Since we were right here, I wasn't willing to take that long on the NQ because we ran right into that 118.69 level. And I said that that's where NVIDIA needs to make a decision. It hasn't quite made a decision yet. Obviously, it's sailing off here, but the NQ, when I was talking about it, was in that area where I said maybe we should probably wait because I don't think NVIDIA is quite ready to go through that level yet. So that's Confluence giving you confidence, right? And now here's the breakdown. If it gives you that break again, do we take the long here? No, we don't. Because we're looking to break the body of that previous 30-minute candle to the downside, which is at 22. So that move there was the right call at that time. Now we got to wait, watch, see what happens when these prices get to different key levels. If that's going to be a higher low down here, maybe a retest of this trend line crack, then maybe a rotate back up again. That's that next break, just like we had before. We are trying to hold that VWAP band. We are working that band of VWAP. Got 15 minutes-ish left in the stream. Seeing if this one more trade will give us an opportunity here. I would really like to see it down to 760 for that ultimate long opportunity. Right now, I think it's more scalps, more quick in and outs if you're able to get it. If you're looking for a longer term bounce play type idea, down in this green box is where you're going to get some liquidity for those longs. Gonna see if I can get this long through 41 if it holds. See, it's rejecting that 41. There's a lot of there's rejection there. Delta's acting nice. See if we can get that pop. It's not ready yet. I don't think I'm going to necessarily re-enter this. I liked it the first time. I do like it now as well. Just not convinced that it wants to go yet, especially with NVIDIA holding below this 118.69. Could be just another trapped along, although, you go up 10 points pretty quick, easily right there. See how far up it'll go. No heat on that at all, right? Once I second guess myself, I'm not entering. Right? I don't want to second guess and then just and fumble through it, Just don't enter it. It's okay. I'm okay with being up $46 and, after not getting very clean entries on my moves, right? Because that's a nice liquidity grab there for another push down. I will wait for that 760 to come into play. If that comes into play, that's a really good long idea for me. And as I mentioned that, I'm not going to be playing with this level. I'm going to wait. I'll be right back. And then we'll finish off this stream for the next 15 minutes. If we're just playing continuation shorts, look for those kind of wicks. Look for that kind of move. Seeing the market really well. Over the last, month or so, we've been back in our groove, back in just mentally better locations. We're in that area where I'm okay with being up 46 because Monday I made it, I can make $1,000 move tomorrow and have a $2,000 week in 2 days, right? So it's not about saying, oh man, I should have made a lot of money on this move. I could have. I talked about how each of these moves could play out if you are thinking through them with logic and reasoning. On this one here, I didn't take my long setup because there was no long setup, right? I did mention that next touch of this seems like a more confirmed breakdown because we are in a downtrend. There's reason why this would probably be more likely than our breakout strategy. So I didn't fight to try and take a breakout strategy here. I waited for the previous day low. I got one, basically should have been a break even. I decided to give it a little bit more room to try and get this kind of move out of it, and I got stopped. And then we took it again because same reason. This was a good short. This was a good long, pretty clearly for that move up. We got stopped out a little bit quicker than potentially we could have, but realistically we went red to green on that move, and that was a really a good trade, right? It was clean. You took basic 1-to-1. Could have took 2-to-1, but who's being a beggar here? And then by the bottom of this, I was talking how 41 is a very key level. NVIDIA looking like it wants to break, so potentially that this could be that next sign for this breakout. Let's see what happens with this. If we can get another push down into that band of VWAP there, get a higher low in Delta, and then see if the next break of 41-ish will give us that next leg up. With NVIDIA still rejecting that 1869, I don't trust it quite yet. I need it to get deeper down here so that when NVIDIA does break through and front run it, then we can catch that next powerful move. Like this one here was very clean and then it pulled back right away, but you were able to see where you could just get in and pull that out of there. I think we did a really good job of trailing this one to break even. I thought we got ticked out a little early, but we could have, like I said, we're going to just take it quick hit on it. 70% long. That'll probably keep me out of the long here as well. Maybe to get those longs shaken out, push down through 20, wick 20, then rotate back up over 40, right? Something like that. Let's see what happens with that. I don't want it over 45. I want it over 40. This was a nice little... I want to see if NVIDIA will pop this now. If NVIDIA could pop 118.70, then this would be a manipulation below 20 and rotate. But if this is going to continue down and NVIDIA starts to continue to curl, then we could be good with the short. You see heaviness back down below that band of VWAP. Kind of thinking my thought process through. You got a heavy selling up to 800. So we'll see if they front run 800. Good delta push to the downside. Nice little short opportunity there. So if you notice this manipulation here, now just kind of notate it for yourself that this might have been some liquidity grab, some trap for the longs, and then now rotate it back down and carry your next leg down. I have this set here for one of those impulse moves up, but that's just going to sit there for a few minutes, and then I'm going to pull it, because if it doesn't accept over that 820 shortly, then it's not necessarily going to go. There's that VWAP band. We've constantly tried to break it, and then we've held below it. Could this be the next little, sweep of the low and then rotate us higher? Potentially, but now Russell's confirmed below low of day. S&Ps as well. Everything's making new lows except for NQ. Right now, it's the only one that's not making a new low at this second. So there is that slight divergence. Nope. I have never studied Elliott Wave. I have not complicated myself in any sort of the way in that manner. I just really work on basic price structure, major structure levels. I work off of liquidity zones and basically very simple. I try to keep everything. I try not to overcomplicate things anymore. I've never studied it. I've seen it. I understand it a little bit. I understand the impulse waves and all that kind of thing, but I don't necessarily use it in my trading. I like that sweep of the low. I want to see down at 60s.
I want to see this get to that ultimate bounce point that we've been talking about for this entire time that this contract has been trading. That 760 level here was the gap where we gapped up from that previous contract. Support, and then that's where we started our last bull rally from. So if we get into that 60 level or even into this box here, I would anticipate either by the end of the day we start to bid up, or if we start to accept into here to clean up that gap. Either way, at some point this could be our liquidity area that I've heard of it, but I think just more so that's just a good word for trading is impulse moves. But I have not studied Elliott wave theory or anything as far as like implementing it in my own trading. I kind of breeze through it, understand it a little bit, and then that's kind of the end of it. I stream here every day, 8:30 to 11, so we got about 9 minutes or so left. I like that push through that low for this to potentially get that 41 level and pop it, right? Trying to hold above that single standard deviation away from VWAP. I don't see larger size on the order book, but that is a nice little bounce there from that area. I would like this long through here. If it's just going to run there, stop me out, then, that is what it is. But take a quick little run at it. NVIDIA now, like I said, I wanted to front run NVIDIA doing this. I want NVIDIA to pop through here while we're at the area that we're at on NQ, right? So if we can get NVIDIA to hold up over this 118.69, 118.70, then potentially we can get NVIDIA, the NQ to catch a bid and run us up from the area that we're at, right? So that's what I want to see, but it's not quite getting there yet. Okay, stronger there. See if we can get and hold up over this standard deviation, over that 41 level. Then I'll start to look to see if this will catch. If not, like I said, I only got like a couple more minutes left in my trading session, so I may end up locking out if this decides to go lower from here. I'm usually within it a couple minutes, not even 10 minutes. Yeah. There's sometimes I trade longer. It depends on how I'm trailing, but I trail quick, pretty much in and out. Very quick to break even. NQ is very whippy. I can make the money that I need to make in 1 or 2 candles, to be honest with you, most of the time. If I'm looking for a longer term move, then it's not necessarily that I'm going to catch the whole thing. I just want to catch small pieces, take very little heat on my wins, right? Like if I'm going to, or my losses, I should say, if I'm going to get into this trade, I want it to get me in and then not really look back at my stop loss. So I'm able to mitigate my losses pretty easily. At the same time, I'm able to, maximize my risk to reward over time. I'm going to go ahead and hold off on this currently. If it goes, it goes. I'm okay with it. I'm going to show you my performance dashboard for these XFAs over the last few weeks. So here's our profit and loss of this XFA over 2 of them, right? We have 2 copy trades currently. This is a broken rule day. I mentioned it. If you go over to my Instagram at Policing Pips, kind of a little bit of a talking about one of my last posts on understanding overtrading versus and sticking to your rules, which is all of these days. The green days are green because I stuck to my rules. I was able to just go there on that day, have a plan, execute to the plan, and then work it from there. Monday this week we did really good. $1,000 move, $2.80. Basically, that's all that was one trade, right? $1,000. Take your fees and lock out for the day. Be done, because there's no reason to kind of over leverage that. This was over traded, and I broke more than one rule as far as I was power outages and internet outages for my hurricane issues. So I shouldn't have traded that day anyway. I was doing it on my phone, which was another no-no in my book. Once I went red to green, I should have just locked out, and that would have been another, 170 that I pretty much would have had in my bank. Plus, actually probably closer to 200 because I was up $50. So really, this red day deserved to be red because I broke all my rules. But it's the positive I took out of it was I locked out, only down small at 170. These days, I'm just taking little kind of chip shots here and there, and not quite getting some follow through, which is fine with me. And today I went red to green also. So honestly, I took 2 trades early, right? Not early, but earlier. I went for the long back through previous day low once. I was up a little bit on it. Could have cut it kind of quick based on the way price action was telling me, kind of how I just did. And I might have even been able to catch $100 on it, but probably would have been stopped at break even. Second time through, more confident through it. Ended up getting trailed out quicker here. And once again, could have extended it a little bit more, but realistically, you see my moves are kind of, I want to get no heat on it, get to break even, and then just trail as tight as I can to just secure as much of the profit as possible. I'm not going to be mad if I don't get these big catches here, big moves. Some days I'm going to catch them like Monday. Other days, especially on the long side, it's a lot harder for me on the long side. I'm a much better on the short side at trailing out. There's just something about the way longs work where they're more stair stepping, and I'm making adjustments here and there, and I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I'm not. I'm far from it, but I just want to give you that kind of how we got to where we are. We were down 2, and then we were up 30, right? We made our trades are right here. If you look at this, we went down 200. We went up 240, so we were up $35, and then we went another trade, break even, $15 to cover basically fees and stuff for all 3 trades. And that was here where I tried to get that long, and obviously you could see we kind of failed it. I called out the long from 20, which was probably the better location for it. So we called out the trade from 20. I'm more of a confirmed, breakout kind of or failed breakout type person. So I'm looking to see if I can get this through here then. Couldn't. Break even $15. So, and then like I said, we're looking to see if we could get it through here, if not long from 60. But for the most part, I am done trading on these accounts for the day. So I'm going to go ahead and lock myself out. Yes, lock me out. Beautiful thing about Top Step X, if you're not familiar with it, is they have this lockout feature where you can no longer trade this account for the rest of the day. I don't have FOMO. I have to go to work after this. So for me, I don't want to be sitting at work thinking I'm missing opportunities. I'm doing things that I can go make money. I can go make money and break my rules where I'm not at my computer. This just totally eliminates that thought process of, oh, my account's available to trade. It'll be re-available at 5 p.m. But at that point, I've already settled down and at work, and I'm doing my thing, and I'm not really doing it. Now that I've locked out, and my rule also here is 5 minutes to an hourly close, I don't usually execute. So NVIDIA is starting to push up back into that level, so I can anticipate maybe we push up through 41 again, but I'm not going to trade it because it is what it is, right? If I have a couple combines that I could execute on, and if I really want to feel the need to do it, I'll burn those. What's up, AK? Yeah, I'm having a good week. I'm up about $1,000 and $1,050 on the week, so I'll take it. Can't be mad at it. I didn't trade yesterday or the day before because I had training, so we Gucci. But it's good. I'm gonna count the days that I don't trade on my phone as green days as well, because you always get that temptation, that urge to trade. People, if you can just not do stupid shit, you're gonna be a good trader. I mean, I really think that that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, is if you can avoid doing stupid things, your account will be happy with you. The day you start to do the things that you know is wrong, but you do it anyway, is the day that those accounts say you don't deserve your money anymore, and they just start to go downhill and downhill and downhill, and then you start to turn into a different person until you can get out of that mental midget funk area. You will be continuously losing money, or you might have a really good day and then a really bad day and a really good day and a really bad day, or like an okay day, and you're like, all right, I'm getting back on track, and you do another stupid thing because you feel like, oh, I can leverage that good feeling, and that's not the case, right? So the best thing you can do in this trading game, if I could give the most simple advice ever, is don't do stupid shit. That's it. I think that's it. I think AK will agree with me, saying that if you do dumb shit, you're going to get smacked in the face. And Hulk Hogan there is going to give you the whole smackdown, because there's just no reason to do it, right? Like I'm going to keep giving credit where credit's due. I follow on Instagram, I think it's Rake Trades or whatever. I follow all these people. Everybody follows everybody, right? So I think one time Rake was saying that he said markets make moves all day. It doesn't mean that they have trades, right? That doesn't mean that there's a trade available. Just because it moved, just because this did this, doesn't mean I had a trade. It just means that the market moved. The market's going to move all day, every day, especially futures. Futures move 23 hours a day, 5.5 days a week. So if you can avoid just clicking buttons just because market's moving and doing dumb shit, then you're going to be successful longer term. You're going to be able to build an account balance. Am I okay? Like, do I want to make more, right? Do I want to make more than this on a day-to-day basis? Yes. But if my profit curve looks like this, steady, nice stair climb, no stupid mistakes, except for that first day where I kind of drew down a little, but I cut myself and developed that discipline to stop it when it was a small loser. Then I have a day like Monday where you get that up and to the right, nice little move. And then you stay, I didn't trade the day before. I didn't trade yesterday. Today I'm up $50. Okay. Now tomorrow, maybe I come out and I make, $200-300. Okay, good. And that, moves it up a little more. And then on Monday, maybe I make another $1,000, or maybe I stair step down a little, but it only comes down, you up and to the right, you pull back a little bit, just like any sort of bullish curve. You want your profit curve to be balanced, stable, up and to the right. And that's really the only thing that's going to make you successful in this, right? So the only way to do that is to stick to your mental game and do it the right way. So for me, that's all I have to say about that. I know this is a little bit delayed. I don't know why it's so delayed. So if you are delayed a little bit, let me know. But if you have any questions or anything like that, I am done for the day. I will not be taking any more executions on these accounts. Obviously, I told you I locked them out. You saw that. If you look at the screen here, let's see if it shows on the screen. Right here, it says manual lockout, no trading allowed. So even if I wanted to execute on this, I can't. Like I said, I have the coffee company to run in between. I got to get ready for work. I got kids. I got family. I don't have the time in the day currently to sit here for you through dead hours of when I don't like to take trades anyway, right? So why would I be sitting here trying to force in executions that aren't there? We've come far enough away from my normal key levels that I like to trade off of. And I'm just going to do a quick breakdown of everything that I saw for the day, and then we'll be cut it out, right? I'm on here every day, 8:30 till 11, except if I can't, like yesterday and the day before because of training. But I let that be known Sunday before the week, every week in my write-up, which is posted in the alerts. If you scroll back, if you don't have those alerts, let me know. I'll post it up. If you're on YouTube, it is pinned to the top of the chat. So you could always click it, see it, all that stuff. If you're interested in getting a Top Step Combine, following along and doing all that fun stuff, let me know. I think that's on here. Is that this? Yeah. So if you want a combine, click that link there. That will get you into a Top Step Combine. It'll just kind of track. I don't make good money off of that. It's like just a tiny percentage or whatever, but it's really just showing that I'm bringing people to Top Step either way. Oh man, I missed you too, big guy. I thought you were coming in. You sent a nice message the other day. I kind of talked about it to other people to kind of just go over what you were, experiencing and everything like that. So if you want to ask any questions, I'll stay on for a few more minutes just to kind of answer questions, but I'm not going to execute any trades or anything right now. So Scrooge, let's get into it if you want to. I got a few minutes. The kids went to a science exhibit at the library, so I have a few minutes to spare today. You sure? Like I said, I have a few minutes if you want to go through it and, get back into it. How did you trade today? Did you execute it all or not? Or you just got on? How did it go? So for me personally, I only executed one loser here where I probably should have got the break even a little quicker. Then I executed a W here. This was the loser. This was the win. Went from red to green on that trade there. Probably could have, took a lot more off the table there, but it's all good. You were in Vegas last week and your schedule is all messed up. That happens. Travel does screw it up a little bit. The beautiful thing about futures and they're trading 24 hours and all that stuff. Yes, obviously markets open. The best opportunities are 8:30 basically till New York close at 3 o'clock on the Central Time. But if you're in that groove of I can trade at certain time where I'm awake. And if you have some time in the day, you could always look to see if the levels are in play or if they're not. And if they're not, just shut the computer off and go away. But, develop your strategy that works for you. And if you are a big traveler and stuff like that, understanding that maybe some of those overnight hours are kind of, that London session kind of plays across a lot of time frames where you could be awake during that time frame or not, depending if you're Central Time, East Coast, whatever. But overall, like I said, for me, your question, I'm going to go back to it because I like it. And if anybody's on on YouTube, basically what he said was he just needs my help in relation to futures. The more he tries to do it, the more he feels like he's screwing up. And that I found success as I'm growing to multiple accounts. And he wants to have that same success rate to pass the evaluations. So how I like to structure it, I used exactly. So it's hard for me to explain my entire strategy in a short little time period, right? But really what I play is failed breakouts, overnight highs, overnight lows, previous day low, right? All those 4 levels. I use VWAP as a target. I use volume profile on a different program here. I use volume profile to pick targets. I use it to pick areas where price might get magnetized to, right? You see larger volume here. If a point of control tends to flip out of where it is, right? We're well out of value currently, but at some point, the longer price stays down here, the value area is going to kind of shift, right? So how I like to do it is I use peaks and troughs through the volume profile to just kind of pick areas where price will become magnetized to. And that's how I pick some key levels and some place to trail my targets as I'm entering and exiting trades. But for the most part, I don't use it for my entries because technically my entry criteria doesn't matter in terms of that, right? So what you need to do as far as your own personal development of what I said the biggest thing you need to do, well, I don't know if you heard it, but before you got on, is don't do dumb shit. I tried to simplify everything down into don't do dumb shit. If you can get to that point where you realize that I just locked out up $46.60 on 2 accounts, right? So I'm up $100, I guess, technically, if you want to say on the day. But when it comes down to it, the reason I lock myself out is because my rules tell me from 8:30 to 11 is when I get my best opportunities. 5 minutes to an hourly close, I don't trade. I don't execute because I like to see what happens with the close of an hour of manipulation as far as the way they want to close at key structure levels. So when I get to 10:55, I know I'm just kind of running into borrowed time. I'm running into time where I don't really want to execute. I do poorly between 11 and basically 2. And then really after 2, I'm at work. So I'm not trading at that time. So understanding, all right, to simplify it is find that exact time frame where you trade consistently every single day. If you're away, if you're on your computer, if you can't get to the computer, then just don't trade. The stupid thing that you can do is trade while you're not at your computer, right? So that's one thing I eliminated. I eliminated trading on my phone. So here's my performance chart. This red day, I broke my rules. It's red because I broke my rules. The rule was, well, here's the whole thing. Since you guys are here now, we're having a conversation. That 9th was my first day back in these funded. I was we had a hurricane here in Texas, in the Houston area, through these days. I had no power. I was working longer hours, but I started to get power back. I started to get some internet intermittently, and I tried to force trades in between the intermittent internet. Stupid idea. That was broken rule number 1, and I executed on my phone here to kind of eliminate that internet issue, but that was dumb, right? So that was dumb. And then also I went red to green. That's another thing where usually if I go red to green on a day, I kind of know that I'm likely to do just stupid shit. And this wasn't a bad trade. This was a good trade setup. Everything about it was a good trade setup. I just took it and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go and FOMO anymore. I'm not going to try and do anything through this internet nonsense. And I locked myself out. So the one good thing I did on that day, I could take away a good thing from that day, is that I locked myself out down small. And then I made it back easily within the next couple of days. And then, on Monday, we did really, really well. We took one trade, our A+ setup, and then I locked out after one trade. You take one good trade, shut it down. That was in the first 5 minutes. I stayed on the whole stream because I have responsibility to you guys to provide good value and all that stuff. But for me, I locked out. I consider the 16th and the 17th here as green days for me because I did not do the dumb things that I used to do. And that is trade on my phone when I'm at training or away from my computer. I didn't do any of that, right? You can see on this account and this account, nothing has changed. It's the same, except for that there was a little bit of difference in the price on that day, but that's just because of copy trading issues. But I count these as wins, right? When I'm green every day this week, technically in my head, because I followed my rules on the 16th. I followed my rules on the 17th. Yes, I looked at TradingView. I kind of peeked at the markets. I conversated with some people through text. But I did not execute trades because I know better, because I'm not on my computer. I'm not getting all my confluences. There's no reason for me to force things in when I'm not here and not in my routine. So the best thing you can do is don't do dumb shit, which is this day. This is dumb shit day. And then if you do dumb shit, find the positive of it and then use that positive to work into the next day, and then limit that by setting rules to eliminate the dumb things that you do, right? Because our animal brain is just going to keep telling us do this because you love to trade. You want to want something instead of just understanding that every day is its own individual day, and that if you can just do the right things every single day, you'll put yourself in a better position to pass accounts, to go further, right? So the ability to eliminate dumb things, set yourself some rules, right? And then just go from there, right? That's the only way that you're going to be able to do it yourself. When you come into a room like mine, you go to Riggs's room, you go to Deck's room, you go to AK's room, you can follow our trades. Yeah, it's great. Like I can tell you what I'm thinking at that time, but at the end of the day, there's going to be the 16th, there's going to be the 17th, there's going to be days that I'm not on the stream, I'm not able to execute, and you're going to have to make good decisions on your own. So what can you do in your eyes that's going to make you avoid doing stupid shit? Like I've always kind of went off the mentality of it is what it is. That's kind of been my mantra for a while, and just like the broad scheme of life. So the one rule you have is one trade off of a key level by the second test or more, the likeliness of it breaking through is much higher. Yeah, that's true. That's a good technical rule, right? I like that as an idea as far as a setup is concerned, but you need to have rules that encompass more than just setups. You need to have those avoid stupid things rule, right? And I think once I started to get into that mindset is when I started to make further advancements in my trading, right? There used to be a period of time, right, Scrooge, where I failed account after account after account after combine. And I knew I had a good strategy, but I didn't have something was off, right? So I had to reassess. And then once I passed that first account, I got past that milestone in my head of, okay, I can do this, right? You could eliminate that by just avoiding that like milestone thing. Even though it's huge, it's great, and you want to get that first one. But why not just set in really good rules that could establish a really good trading habit, and then just continue to do it no matter what the account, right? So if you want to sit down today, if you're coming back from Vegas, you have your sleep schedule all messed up, there's no reason to trade tomorrow if you don't think that you're going to wake up in time. Today, you're not really in a mentality, right, where you're at to trade because you said you woke up late, you don't have that mentality right there. So maybe instead of doing that today, you watch the charts, you see patterns, you leave it on in the background because I always watch charts, it's cool. But you sit down with a pen and a paper or on your computer and say, here's my dumb shit list. What do I do that's stupid and how that costs me money? And then if you can be honest with yourself, this is, as I say all the time, everybody says it's you versus the market, and it's not. It's you versus you. Because the market is there and is going to do exactly what it does no matter what, no matter who does what. So it doesn't matter what we do. It's you versus you. So you sit down, you write it out. I Anthony make dumb mistakes when, and then you say, rule number 1, I trade at hours that are not conducive to my setup. Check. Rule number 2, if I trade away from my key levels in between zones, my winning percentage goes from 75, 80% to completely unpredictable. So why am I going to trade between 926 and 941 if I'm not in that trade? I'm not, because there's no setup for me, right? This is no man's land. If I were to have shorted the previous day low, my success rate is 70, 80%. If I play my normal mean reversion failed breakdown play, that is 75, 80% trade, right? Because if it fails to break down, it's likely to rotate back up. So I know that around my zones, my success rate is in that 75, 80% range. If I start to trade into here, I have no idea. I have no way to track that because I'm in between zones. I'm in between setups. I don't have a way to track that. So basically what I say is, if I have 70, 80% of the puzzle, if I have 100% of the puzzle, I can make 70% of the time. So if I only have 70% of the puzzle, I'm probably less than 50% successful in that setup, right? So write that down. Number 2, if I'm away from my levels, do not trade. And then just watch the chart and teach yourself to be patient enough to say, okay, price is no longer at my levels. I'm going to fucking type up something. I'm going to write something. I'm going to watch a YouTube video. I'm going to listen to Policing Pips talk about nothing and his levels and what he's doing and his kids talking on the stream and whatever. And then avoid clicking the button and teach yourself to not click the button until you're at your levels. And then, okay, so what's the other dumb thing that I do? The third dumb thing I do is if I'm red on the day and I go green, the next trade tends to put me back red. So that's dumb rule number 3. These are my dumb rules. So I'm telling you what I do, and then you can do this on your own, right? Like, what leads you to making these dumb mistakes? And it's always money, right? Obviously, everything is money. So, the star on top should be, it's not about the money, it's about the process. And everybody always says it, but they don't tell you how to detach from the money because it's everything that this is all about. If you're not in this to make money, you're not doing it for any reason other than to click buttons. And then if you're not doing it that way, then you just trade sim and you just click buttons and have fun, right? So it's all about the money, but at the end of the day, you need to detach from the actual P&L of it and start to attach yourself to the process of understanding, I'm happy if I execute appropriately. I made $50, $46.60 today, and I'm very happy with the way I planned out my day. I consider it to be a big win in my mental side of trading, because then tomorrow I can come out and I can make 1,000, I can make 2,000, I can make 500, I can make another $50 and still be content with that. I followed my rules to an exact T, right? I waited for A+ setups, I waited for key levels, I didn't FOMO in, I didn't revenge trade, all those things. And then for you, like, let's say you're, rule number 4, if I lose on a trade that sets up nice, I always hammer back in and I tend to start to spiral down. So if you note that on a day that you're clear-minded, right? Today you're clear-minded. Tomorrow you might be clear-minded because you're not actually in the process of losing money. You're not in the process of doing that stuff. So if you get to the point where you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I'm looking at the charts, what do I do? And those days that I feel the heat behind my ears and my palms get sweaty when I'm clicking the button and I feel the pressure of the market, what causes that feeling? And you can self-reflect on that piece of paper. And then as you write that in, then you're going to start to understand all that stuff. So, I mean, if you're in it for the adrenaline there, Scott, you're going to get crushed. Oh, man. It's funny because it's a common factor of all of that, buildup of everybody does it. And they say that 90% of fail, traders fail and all that stuff. I think really because you give up, because you don't understand how to combat your own emotions. It's not a game of not be emotional, because it's impossible to not be emotional, right? You have to have emotions to understand what's going on. It's good to have that tilt feeling, that sweaty palm, that heat behind your ears, that stuff like that, because then you can recognize that you're doing something wrong. As soon as you recognize tilt, what do? set a rule. Set that next rule. If I feel like I'm getting hot and sweaty and I'm doing wrong things because of it, I'm going to hit the lockout button. I'm going to close my computer. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to walk away. The biggest thing people don't do is walk away, right? Take your time, preserve your capital. There's always going to be that next one more trade. You'll always have the opportunity to pass these accounts. As long as these funding companies are available, you can do that. If they disappear tomorrow, what you have to do is work your job, build up an account, put the money in the account, and still work these rules as if you had a funded account, but now it's your personal account. And you're just going to get taxed different and kind of some lesser benefits, obviously. And barrier to entry is a little bit greater, but you can still do this. This is still something that you can do longer term. So if you develop these good habits now, then you're going to be able to long term, Scrooge, be able to do what you want to do, is to do it on your own, right? To not have to feel that pressure of, I need to pass this account. I need to make $100. I need to have $200 today, right? If I wanted to get a payout, I need to get $200 today, right? They set that rule in place on purpose. They don't want people to make $10,000 in a day and then withdraw it right away and then burn the account and, whatever. They're giving you good habits to establish, to develop an account longer term, and people will find that as a negative. But also it is slightly a negative because anybody wants a payout and wants to get to that $200 mark, so you can set that next level of, okay, I've established another $200 a day, another $200 a day, and I can make my payout. But if you use that as a mental, I need to make that today, then it's going to set you up for a bad trade idea, just to make a certain dollar amount instead of sticking to your trade plan and establishing good rules and then just executing on your trades regardless of the profit target for the day, right? It's kind of a mixed bag of what you need to do, but does that make sense, Scrooge? Like, is that like a good first step for you to try and do something for like moving forward and taking that next step in your trading? Because like I said, everybody always talks about strategy. They always talk about risk management. They always talk about all these other things. At the end of the day, and they'll even tell you, you need to work on your mental game, but they don't tell you how to work on your mental game, right? They just say you need to do it. And nobody knows how unless you figure out a way to do it, step by step. And the only way you can do that is understanding yourself, self-reflection, especially on days where you're clear-minded, where you haven't executed a trade, where you're doing that. I like to do a lot of that stuff on the weekend. Like personally, I've always found it difficult to, detach from the money part of it, as far as like, I need to make X number of dollars per day to do whatever. But, you don't, because it will just happen, right? It just kind of is a byproduct of doing habitual work over and over and over again, right? Like I do this weekly write-up for everybody. I say it's for everybody, but it's mainly for me, right? It's for my outlook for the week, right? Sunday night, I get home from work. I look at the chart. I back analyze the previous week to see what kind of structure we may have set up for the week moving ahead, how bigger positions might be moving. And then I, break down what news events, what the key, economic releases are. I establish a good habit every Sunday where I set up my week. I give myself a broad bias of kind of where I think price could go and why it could go in the directions. And then as it moves, then on the day-to-day basis, I do the same thing every morning now. I get up, I make coffee, I go outside, I enjoy some fresh air. I don't look at charts. I don't talk to people, maybe my kids or whatever, but not like on the phone or anything. And then I start to progress back in around 8 o'clock and start to work my way into the screens, into the news, into whatever events, look at some charts, then get back and get the stream up and ready and kind of do everything that way, so that now everything I did leading up to that point was controlled. And then now when I get into the stream and into executions and into taking trades, I don't have any questions of what I have already done. And I know that every time I do all these things, it leads me to a clear headspace. So when I get on the stream, I get on the charts, everything I did kind of is just focused on here and now and just making those choices. So hopefully that helps. I mean, I kind of rambled a little bit, but before I get off, if anybody else has any other questions about kind of like what I'm going over now, it's kind of, I think it's helpful. If you want a chart analysis, I could do that too before I go. But I mean, NVIDIA is stair stepping to the upside and NQ is just going flat sideways. So if you do get any sort of like wick off top on NVIDIA and it starts to rotate down, you might get that next leg down. Otherwise, you might start seeing this curl back the other direction, using that upper band of that secondary band of VWAP here as that support level. Now that we've used it as resistance, pop back above it. Now we're starting to rotate. Maybe this is where we get that rotation. But for me, there's no, there's no clean setup, right? If you, like I said, if you have any questions, anything else that you need me to go over of kind of what I just talked about, I'm very happy to go over it. I like talking about this stuff. I don't stream. I don't make money streaming. I don't, get much benefit out of it other than that it keeps me helping other people. And I like to help people kind of understand what I've gone through. I'm not, like I said, I'm never going to say I'm a perfect trader. I'm not Dick. I'm not going to be out here, super high energy. I just want to understand. I want you guys to understand things. And I think it's very helpful. I don't think a lot of people are able to just kind of give you information without any sort of bias on it. So I like to do that. That's why I'm on here, right? I am really good at emulating what I see. So now that I've decided to stop creating my own system with the moving average crossover and I'm willing to learn your process, I will get it over the next weeks. I will definitely be picking your brain as we go along and think of questions. Great. Scrooge, if you have an Instagram, you could, like I said, it's hard for me because I'm working as a cop. After I get off here, I go police and pretend to be a cop. But if you follow me on Instagram at Policing Pips, if you ever send me a DM, at some point during the day, you're going to get an answer because I'm managing that and the Day Trading Coffee Co. Instagram, and the website and all that stuff. So I monitor my phone, I monitor alerts and stuff like that. So if you do message me on there, I always try to answer everybody that I can as quickly as I possibly can. So if you have something that you really want to ask that's not on stream, always send me a DM over there. I'll answer it. If you want to go into the website and do the contact us, you could always do that too. If it's a little bit more of a longer structured question, I'll always answer that too. It goes to my email for the company. So overall, like everything that I do, I just want to help. If you want to DM me, do it at Policing Pips across every platform. That's me. I don't have more than that except for the coffee company, like I said. When it comes to emulating and doing what I do, I think picking pieces of what you like and what you don't like and then creating a nice structure from it is a way to go, right? I'm the same way. My last little rant before I get off is, as a cop, I did the same. I kind of relate it to that, right? Early on in my career, you work with a broad spectrum of people. And, early when I was on, it was supposed to be FTOs or were not. So you just go and you work with people who have 6 more months than you or 10 years or 20 years more than you, depending on the day. And you just kind of watch how they act, watch how they talk to people, watch what works, what doesn't work when it comes to pressure situations, and you kind of develop your own plan of how you will proceed as a person and as a police officer and as all that stuff. So I would pick what I didn't like from people and what I did like from people, and I would separate them into two blocks, and I would say, I'm not going to do this, but I will probably start to implement some of that because I see that works, but I can see that can go the wrong way if I go that way. So I'll do that. So with you, as far as emulating other people's strategies and trying to develop your own with a moving average crossover, it's great and all. But like I said, if you watch me, you watch AK, you watch Deck, you watch anybody, if you watch Riggs, as far as his, he's good analysis because he's also in the futures world. You might pick something from my levels, right? Like I only trade, X number of levels and I won't trade anything else. Maybe you like that piece. Maybe you like the delta divergence that I like, and, maybe your risk is a little bit more, you want to let things run out a little bit more. You can use my levels to allow things to run out. Like I can definitely have a really good track record of giving you a good idea of where things might end up throughout the day. And if you want to allow things to breathe a little bit more, that's on you, and that's cool. So you take a strategy, you stick to it. You don't jump strategy to strategy to strategy to strategy, but you pick little pieces and you kind of combine them together, create this little thing that you can do over and over and over again that you find is easy to do in your own terms without like somebody telling you certain data, right? Like, you might not have access to cumulative delta that I have, that I like, right? I love this delta. If you don't have Quantower and you don't have live data for it, it might not be for you. So you might have to find another little tweak to kind of help you make that strategy your own. And then if you, like I said, if you want to let things run a little more, or if you want to be a little tighter and just take 1-to-1s. I mean, if I just took 1-to-1s all the time, I feel like I'd have a lot of pretty decent sized days, but I like to let some of my things move a little bit more. You can kind of tell that some days I'm looking to trail quick, some days I'm looking to let them breathe, and that's all dynamics based on the day. So do your best to take little pieces from everybody that you watch. Have a little structure of like what you think is best for you, and you say, I will not trail like that. Maybe I'll adjust my trail a little bit, but criteria for entry is this. My hours of trading is that, and just set up basic rules. And then as you build off those rules, you can kind of expand. And as your knowledge base grows, you can expand your rules a little bit. That box gets a little bit bigger. And for me, like I said, I'm sticking to just one pretty much system that works in most market environments, right? This strategy can work in a trend. It can work in consolidation. And then overall, like I said, it's just kind of adaptable. And that's why I've kind of picked it, because realistically, if you just use price levels and order flow and some of that stuff, it kind of develops into a nice little strategy that can work in a lot of environments. But like I said, if that's it, if you have questions, you can always message me. Here we go. How do you get the bands of VWAP in Top Step X, or can you? I haven't found a way to do it, to be honest with you. If I go over to my indicators and I go to VWAP, I just added another one. I don't know if there's a way to, let me see something. Close this one. Let's use settings. I might guess that they end up doing like an adjustment to it, honestly. But right now it doesn't show any ability to add those bands, those standard deviations. What you can really do, you could even add anchored VWAPs if you really feel like it. Maybe the anchored VWAP gives you the option. Let's see. Inputs, visibility. Now, I don't really see an opportunity to do it yet. Yeah, Top Step X doesn't have that opportunity yet. I bet they will in the future. They're kind of still developing those. Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, I don't really like flipping back and forth from platform to platform, but if I were to have to choose a specific platform, I would choose Quantower. I do really like a lot of their functionality, the ability to add some of these indicators that are just more in my lane. I don't need a lot, right? You could see I just put the opening range on here because I like to see it. I have VWAP. It shows those upper bands. I have the profile. I mean, that's really all I need personally when it comes down to it. But Top Step X does have benefits to it that I'm trying to leverage for my mental capacity, right? I want to try and lock myself out. Beautiful. I appreciate it, Scrooge. If you follow me on Instagram there, follow the coffee page as well. We're always trying to build followers at Day Trading Coffee Co. We're trying to just grow the brand slowly but surely. And like I said, we're always trying to give back. So once that funding fund gets up and running, once we get enough sales to do that, we are going to donate accounts and all that fun stuff to give back to traders. So yeah, that's that. I wish I could just trade on one combine, on one account. I do like having multiple platforms available to me. Quantower also forces me to stay on just the computer. I appreciate having the Top Step X mobile platform as an emergency stop type of function. I don't like it, or to like manage a position. If I really got to run out of the house or something, I'll manage something I'm in. I don't want to enter on mobile. I just don't like it personally. It's just a bad habit for me. So I just try not to do it. And I found that to be a bad habit. But like I said, overall, good trading session today. It's not a huge dollar day, but it's a good mental victory as far as sticking to levels, sticking to my plan and doing the right thing at the right time. And then now kind of understanding a little bit more, even just telling you guys about what to do mentally kind of reiterates that to myself and kind of keeps me in that lane. And we're going to just keep the green days going, right? It's a winning streak. winning streaks come to an end, and they usually come to an end when you start to make forced ideas and trades that might not necessarily be your best entries. So keep that in mind. Keep your mental game in mind, and when it comes down to it, when you do have that clear state of mind, that writing it down on a piece of paper. I have like a bunch of old pads I wrote a bunch of shit down into. I don't write them down anymore because I record everything. I'm streaming every day, so I do hear myself. I do see it. I reflect on good trades. I reflect on bad trades. I'll watch my YouTube videos here and there just to kind of see, and then just try to improve for you guys as well. Just to, that's a little bit another thing that I have to do that kind of adds a little bit more depth into my journal, if you will. And then now that Top Step has this, performance center where you can track your trades, have your green and red days in your calendars, and you can type notes into here and do all that fun stuff. There's just that much more of an edge that you have to where you don't have to come out of it. And so that's why another reason why I use Top Step X. It's because it allows me that. But I think that's it. If you guys, like I said, if you have anything else, message me on Instagram, follow me at Policing Pips. Follow me on Day Trading Coffee Co. at Day Trading Coffee Co. And we will see you all tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. till 11 Central Time. And remember, stick to your rules. That's what it's all about, all right? I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow. Peace out.